Football, the legendary coach who made Ronaldo unstoppable and dominated world football. Like, share and subscribe. Episode 161. Pogba, who is far away in Dubai, did not wait for Liu Yi and Manchester United to call, but waited for the call from Loyola, saying that Paris was ready, so that he could wait with peace of mind. As soon as the winter window opens, Paris will send a quote to Manchester United. What about my personal treatment? Pogba didn't care if Paris would send an offer, but asked Loyola about personal treatment. Loyola felt bad in his heart, and when he and Leonardo were chatting, his mind was full of letting the big Paris take over Pogba, forgetting to talk about salary. But since Leonardo is willing, presumably in the salary, absolutely not stingy, after all, Paris has money. But he did not think that Paris gave a salary of tens of millions of euros, which may be relatively normal, but it is more difficult to exceed this number and enter the next grade. Di Maria, who has made great contributions to Paris, is only 13 million, the former Real Madrid captain, one of the most honored central defenders in football history. Ramos is only 12 million, why does Pogba take more than them? Paris is for champions and sometimes they do things, but having money doesn't mean they're fools. In front of Pogba, Loyola naturally does not say this, he simply let Pogba rest assured that it is best to play a game at Manchester United and show his super ability, which will also make Paris pay more crisply. If you want to play, you have to go back to Manchester United, after all, he is still a Manchester United player. Liu Yi will definitely not give me a chance. Rest assured, that's just angry words, he's not a fool, let go of such a good player as you, don't you use Fred, McTominay? That said, Pogba is confident in himself and feels the same way. After hanging up the phone, Pogba went to the gym, took a picture of him training, and posted it on social media. I'm coming back. Immediately below there was a flood of Manchester United fans who commented on his behavior, basically nothing good, and there is no difference between Dragon fans and fans in other countries. Don't come back, just go to the next team. Tired, destroy, hurry. When you're away, we can win too, don't come back and do things. Go to Real Madrid, Paris, Juve, our little temple of Manchester United, we can't afford to raise a big god like you. Pogba Vanwin did not expect that this time the fishing environment was so bad that almost no fans spoke for him. Although he has done things again and again, there will still be fans who will stand up and say that he is the indispensable one for the team and should build the team around him. But this time, there was no such remark, perhaps something he didn't see. For a while, I was angry and annoyed, my own and the club's affairs, and you fans have a fart relationship, what is wrong with a strong yelling? Liu Yi of Manchester, after seeing Pogba's news, thought about sending a message to Carrick. Michael, when Pogba comes back, arrange for him to go to the youth team training directly, or arrange for him to train alone, I don't want to see him in the first team. Carrick looked at the news and simply agreed. At this point, anyone with a discerning eye can see that the contradictions between the two sides are irreconcilable, and he cannot risk offending a great manager to help Pogba. Since the boss needs to be this evil person himself, then he will do it himself, the arrangement is clear, and there will be no problem. Tomorrow is the game against Brentford and the team has to go away today. The team as a whole did not receive any impact, on the contrary, the atmosphere seemed to be a little better, and the matter of Pogba showed the side of the coach's thunderbolt means. In the locker room, the loyalty of most of the players to Liu Yi can ensure that there will be no problems. Like Fred and Luo, Rashford, they are fully supporting Liu Yi, and even Lingard, who has the best relationship with Pogba, is also on the side of the coach. Whoever is right and who is wrong, they can see clearly. The previous coach installed the lake paint, or in this matter, cannot get the support of the management, everyone will install the lake paint, and now the coach is against the previous state of toughness, their attitude naturally looks like a change. I hope Paul's affair doesn't affect everyone, if anyone is affected by this, then you can take time off to adjust your psychology, I won't blame you for it, but if you have a problem on the court, then I will replace you immediately, even in the first minute of the opening. Rest assured boss, we are all professional players and there will be no problem. As the captain, Ronaldo is naturally the first to show his attitude, fully support the manager, and other players have once again expressed that they will not change their attitude to play for the club because of this matter. Very good, we should have a good result against Brentford tomorrow. Pogba, who was at the Dubai airport and ready to rush back, did not know that he had been sent to the youth team, and took a few photos, and then prepared to chat with Lingard and ask about the specific situation in the team. After all, he and Lingard grew up together in the youth team, even if he left Italy later, he did not break the contact, and the relationship has always been good. The only problem is that Jesse Lingard is a real Manchester United man and he loves this team. Therefore, on this basic issue, the two have nothing to talk about. Pogba sends a message to Lingard, "Hey, Jesse, are you ready to go?" "Paul, me and the whole team are already on our way to Brent. The coach is laying out some things. It's not convenient to continue chatting with you, sorry." Jesse replied directly, then turned off his phone and closed his eyes on the bus to the airport. Yes, since Liu Yi took office, everyone has acted collectively in the away game, and it is forbidden for anyone to leave the organization and act privately, and if there is a problem, it can be reported in advance. Bogra, who was far away at the Dubai airport, saw the news coming from the mobile phone, and a black face became darker and darker. Of course, others could not see it. The 17th round of the Premier League is about to start, and Liu Yi led the team to the 8th Premier League game, leaving countless jaw-dropping records. Episode 162. Pogba did not know that he had been assigned to the youth team by UEFA, choosing to stay at home to listen to music, watch movies or something, and relax. He didn't even watch Manchester United play. He knew that his career at Manchester United, most likely, was over, and he couldn't see it and was not bothered. As the saying goes, winning is not terrible, who is embarrassed by lack of water. Just after Liu Yi's arrival, Pogba also had several appearances at the beginning, but then he was injured in the national team training and has been recovering from the injury until now. Immediately after that, the contradiction with Liu Yi, or Manchester United, broke out in full force, and neither side had the possibility of turning back, completely tearing up the face. Even a club like Manchester United, in order to take care of the emotions of the fans, most of them will not mouth Iola to do business. The big club still has to have some face, and the things that spit on their own can't be done, especially if Liu Yi is the head coach. Fortunately, no matter what, you can still go to the big Paris, comfortably with a high salary, mixed with the league championship, is not beautiful. If you can mix a Champions League title, it would be very good, then the locker room to give a speech, and then let Liola hype, he is the leader of Paris. Maybe he can also wear the armband of the French national team, so that he will not have nothing to do after retiring. Pogba was in the Manchester mansion, and when Messi was associated with, the rest of Manchester United's players were making final preparations for the capital car Brentford. At the pre-match press conference, Liu Yi directly handed over to Carrick to open it, and Gu had to deal with a group of reporters and ask questions about Pogba. He was in the locker room, making the final tactical arrangements and then announcing the starting lineup. It is customary that Cristiano will get a chance to play. After all, he has a lot less time on the field than everyone else here. Then the old guard did not recover from Liso because of the injury, so this time Anthony got the opportunity to play. I hope you take advantage of it and run. Half an hour before the start of the game, Liu Yi handed the starting list to the fourth official, who would pass it to the system. In live broadcast rooms from all over the world, the narrators will also get the starting list of both sides through a similar system. Liu Yi appeared in the stadium, the Bingford Community Stadium, a stadium that can only accommodate 17,000 people, which is definitely a small stadium compared to Manchester United's Old Trafford. Brentford's fans, who crammed the pitch to the brim, with fewer than 3,000 Manchester United fans sitting in the away fans' seats. Of course, there are also many undercover fans who can't buy tickets for the away team, but can only buy tickets for the home team. For example, Kevin, the concentration of Penguin Sports, is wearing a coat at the moment to block his Manchester United shirt inside to prevent being killed. Wear a big mask so that when Manchester United scores, they won't be seen laughing when they are not seen. While looking at the stadium, record a video of watching the ball. Brothers, once again I went undercover among the home fans, watching the Manchester United game and hoping not to be recognized by the Brentford fans. That would be embarrassing for the eunuchs. The two old brothers next to me look at me with a very bad look. The key is that I can't sing Brentford songs, what to do, online, etc., urgent. This guy is also a social cowboy, talking to himself for a while, and even pulled the bearded Brentford fans next to him to chat. Hey guy, what do you think about this game? The bearded brother watched the video and had a kind smile on his face. Brentford is not Manchester United's opponent, we just want to see a good performance. Brentford can concede a few less goals, it will be a very good result. Who do you think is the most threatening person in United's squad? There is no doubt that it is Liu. He is leading Brentford, he can also achieve bad results. Manchester United are so lucky. Not knowing why, Kevin felt some excitement in this old man's words, which made him a little confused. Manchester United find a good coach, and what are you excited about as a Brentford fan? What about the players? Of course it's the first dark night under the Demon King, Cristiano Ronaldo. Look at this energetic man, now he occupies the Premier League top scorer list and the assists list, and even he has the goal line and the whole field. this is a powerful man. Do you think this Brentford can stop Ronald from continuing to score? No way. The guy's voice suddenly increased, and then he looked around nervously to see that no one noticed him, which was relieved. After the incident, he looked at Kevin's appearance and tried to ask, "Dude, are you a Dragon countryman?" Of course, my video will be posted on Dragon Country's network for Dragon Country fans to see. Oh, that's great, I love Dragon Country, I love Liu Yi, thank you Dragon Country. The guy confessed to the camera, and finally pulled the zipper on his clothes to reveal the Manchester United fans inside. Good fellow, for half a day, it turns out that you are also an undercover fan. Kevin Psychic will pull open the zipper, everyone is right to the code, look at each other and smile at everything without saying anything. Just then, the guys in the row above the two of them, singing Brentford's song, patted Kevin on the shoulder behind them. Kevin turned his head and the guy took off the Brentford scarf around his neck and hung it around Kevin's neck before pulling open his Manchester United shirt. Dude, you don't know how hard it is to buy away tickets for this game, and in order to get a ticket, I had to take my good brother in Brentford to the hospital and use his season ticket. Kevin listened stunned, then gave a thumbs up, or you. There's nothing wrong with your friend. No, he just took a little laxative, went to the toilet a night and was a little prostration, just a day or two to think about it. Fans are good fans, but you are not a good friend. Liu Yi appeared on the big screen, the Manchester United fans in the away team area began to applaud and shouted, and the fans of Brentford began to boo whether they could play or not, and the momentum could not be lost in the first place. Undercover fans like Kevin can only sit where they are, pretending to play with their mobile phones, or do other things, just like Kevin is busy, recording a video of the fans booing. At this moment, the Brentford fans on the other side suddenly pulled Kevin and asked, "Dude, who do you support?" Kevin looked embarrassed, but his reaction was still very fast, "I'm neutral." The Brentford fan suddenly had a mysterious smile on his face, "You are a Manchester United fan." At this point, Kevin was surprised, was he disguised as being seen through? Why? Because football has no neutral fans. Episode 163. The players from both sides were in the entry, and in the Longwa live broadcast room, Jean-June and Jean Coach introduced the starting list to everyone. Jean-June, the away Manchester United starting striker, is Anthony Martial's partner. This double striker is very reasonable, but whether Anthony Martial can provide a starting center, everything needed, we still have to see in the game. The four midfielders are the front back Fee, the left Rashford, the right side Sang Yang, the back Fred, which is the formation that Liu Yi often uses, and the difference between Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and the previous is that the Fee runs more range. The pressure is not so high, after all, it is a midfielder. Left-handed there's, right-hand Dalot, centre-back Lindelof partner Veroni, the goalkeeper is still the number one Manchester United fans Duck Dad De Gea. Let's see, Brentford's starting lineup doesn't look any different from the last one. Still a defensive and midfield entanglement formation, goalkeeper Fernandes, three centre-backs from left to right, Janet, Jansen, good, wing-backs are Henry on the left, Rasmussen on the right, middle three at Jansen, Norgau, Baptiste and striker Memaguiza. The head coach is Thomas Frank. As the referee blew a whistle, the game officially began. Jean-June began his punctual performance as usual. Good evening to all the fans and friends. Here is the 17th round of the 2021-2022 English Premier League. Premier League giants Manchester United away to Brentford game. Jean-June and Jean Guide to send you commentary. On the pitch, Martial passed the ball to Ronaldo. Ronaldo had been watching Brentford goalkeeper Fernandez's position, perhaps because the game had just started and he wasn't out of form. Stand in a position that is relatively front and relatively right. If that's the case, then you're not welcome, no doubt for the goalkeeper, it's a huge mistake, but who would have thought that Luo would be so crazy? Bringing the ball forward, and then on the thick and powerful thighs, the muscles suddenly exerted, and it was obvious that the pants were propped up, and the foot surface was very the football. The Brentford player, looking at Luo with some surprise, the big brother has just kicked, what are you going to do? Manchester United player Marcus Rashford, on the right Sancho has rushed forward, and it is a little uncomfortable that Anthony Martial has not run as fast as Beefy. The camera just swept through the fans of the whole field, pulled a long view, and even some countries because of delays. The narrator has not yet introduced the starting lineup of the two sides in the Longwa live broadcast room. Jean Guidance just said according to the custom, I am Jean Guide, hee. I saw a flash of white light on the screen, and the ball started at Rowe's feet, drew an inconspicuous arc, and went straight to Brentford's goal. The goalkeeper found himself having a problem with his position, but it was too late, and in a hurry, he forcibly twisted his jumping body and fell heavily to the ground. Desperately looking up at the football, he brushed the beam in the net, then lowered his head, and his fist made the stone turn the ground. See, Luo has run to the side of the field, while his hands are in the air, and then make his classic suithi fingers also draw a circle in the air. Liu Yi was also on the sidelines, excitedly running out for more than 10 meters, making a kneeling celebration, and shaking his fists in front of his chest several times. To be able to see such a wonderful goal on the spot, so close to the scene, is simply a pleasure beyond all else. The ball went in, it was Cristiano Ronaldo, and it was this man who broke Brentford's goal with a wonderful long-range shot just before the game started. Why is it always this man? Look at his strong thighs, and 20 years of training, his courage and fighting spirit of never accepting defeat. This is what our young players should learn, and it is also the spirit that ordinary people should learn from him. Keep working hard, to struggle, and then little by little to success. The official has released the data. See, Ronaldo's goal took 7.42 seconds, breaking the record for the fastest goal in the Premier League. This is a real record shredder. Who could have imagined that this record could also be broken? The previous record was held by Sean Lang from Nannan, who scored a goal in 7.69 seconds against Watford, but now this record belongs to Cristiano Ronaldo. At the same time, this goal is also the second fastest goal in the 5 major leagues. The other is 7.3 seconds in La Liga. Now let's take a look at this wonderful. It is worth mentioning that Anthony Martial's assist, reminiscent of Professor Boo's century assist to Messi, just need to pass a kick. Super long-range shooting and long-distance attacks with 5 people practiced, which is wonderful. It is a matter of opinion, but for the fans, it is a moment worth enjoying. Cristiano Ronaldo has been observing Brentford goalkeeper and Fernandez's position before the start of the game, indicating that he had premeditated. This is not a smoldering kick. You must not be negligent in the face of such a great player as Rowe. As long as you make the slightest mistake, he will punish you, and now it is Brentford who is being punished. The punishment came a little early. Between the two talking, the fans at the scene seemed to finally react, and the Manchester United fans sang Viva Ronaldo's song, which also began to become louder, and the Brentford fans booed all day. After the celebration, Cristiano Ronaldo clapped to the away fans while re-standing in midfield. The ball was exchanged so quickly that it is now the Brentford player serve. Before the game began, Thomas Frank laid out a tough confrontation and defensive strategy to see if he could take a stronger share from Manchester United. For the middle and lower teams, any point is crucial, so any point has to be desperate. It's a pity which man let his dreams be shattered in the first minute. Frank looked at Luo, who was running on the field, shook his head uncontrollably, and couldn't help but burst out a dirty word in his heart. Fuck, 36 years old. Heck, who can believe this is a 36-year-old, soon-to-be 37-year-old veteran? He turned his head to look at Liu Yi again. To tell the truth, he was very jealous of this young dragon country boy, who had such good luck and was selected by the Glazer family to become the head coach of Manchester United, and to be able to teach such a good seeker. It was at this time that the post-match press conference should say something, and he had already thought about it. On the court, the opening is only 5 minutes, and buffet has been used by the other party to hit him to the ground twice, but both are reasonable physical confrontations, and he can only protest. In all the ball rights struggle in the front court, you can see the other side without hesitation, and the quality of the players may not be as good as yours, but our body is not bad. Liu Yi frowned and found the fourth official, and protested, "Sir, Brentford's players are obviously beyond the physical confrontation of normal games. I hope you can remind the referee to protect the suitors of my door." Episode 164. In the Longwa live broadcast room, Jean Jun and Jean Coach have been somewhat speechless, and the bullet screen is a voice attacking Brentford, of course, all Manchester United fans. If you want to say that there are any fans in Brentford in the country, no one believes it. It is nothing more than other fans impersonating them. Jean Jun smiled bitterly. 20 minutes have passed since the game. Manchester United have no obvious chance. Brentford's midfield, just like a battlefield. The two sides are fist-to-flesh fights, every ball must be fought. Zhang also shook his head. This is the middle and lower reaches of the Premier League. They can come up with all the ways to relegate. Look at Watford's performance. This level of confrontation, if it were not for Manchester United, it is estimated that other teams would have been unable to stand it and gave up the midfield. Of course, today's whistle is softer and the referee encourages confrontation. I hope we Liu Yi can have a way, but the 3 points have arrived, and it is also a good way to collect it. Jean Jun gave Liu Yi an idea. Of course, he couldn't hear it. Another 5.5 ball. Fred did not hesitate to rush up, the first to poke the ball to Sancho, and then collided with the opponent and fell to the ground. After rolling a few laps on the ground, he quickly got up and continued to run towards the front, only to look a little limping. This is a real fighter. You want to say that Fred is also the bottom in the Premier League, but recently he is not afraid of confrontation, and even took the initiative to seek confrontation, which shows that Liu Yi has had a huge impact on him. On the barrage, some fans kept complaining, Brentford is used as a fighting arena. If you go on like this, you can change the name to the English Super Fighting League. This physical confrontation makes the game much more difficult. The pit daddy is in the no-ball state, and the confrontation is everywhere. Even more unbelievable, the referee has not pulled out a single yellow card until now. It may be that his yellow card is more precious, and he is reluctant to take it out. Liu Yi on the sidelines put his hands on his chest, looked at everything on the field, and suddenly whispered 2 words with Carrick, who kept nodding his head and said, "Boss, just do it." Get Carrick's affirmation, of course. Liu Yi just wants to satisfy his vanity and enjoy the pursuit of a subordinate. He immediately stood on the sidelines and shouted, while also waving his hands, signaling his defenders to press forward. Keep the scramble for the pitch in the opposing half, get as close to the opponent's penalty area as possible, and increase long-range shots and crosses. Varney and Lindelof, who were originally in the back position, began to move their positions forward, and as for Telles and Dallet, they had already been used as wingers and had not returned. Brentford can destroy Manchester United's attack, but want to launch a counterattack, but it is powerless. Manchester United players' area division and siege tactics, it does not look very intense, but it makes Brentford's ball players feel terrible. Often after getting the ball, it is a long pass to see luck. Basically either send the ball out of the sideline or give the ball to United's backfielders. De Gea came out of the box to participate in receiving the ball, otherwise he was afraid of catching a cold. If you lose your chance to play because there is so little activity on the field, it is really unlucky. Think about the before, the backcourt De Gea. If each game did not come to a few God saves, the team guaranteed to score the team, and the current team, De Gea, are moved to cry. Big brothers, let me move, it's all frozen. DEA's heart screamed. At the same time, he also began to understand Neuer, why the range of activities is so large. Bundesliga Bayern is often pressed against the opponent to play. If he does not go out, he cannot even touch the ball. How to practice technology. The original goalkeeper with a large range of activities is another basic feature that the team must be able to attack out, so that it can go out of the box to participate in attack and defense. Of course, it was just De Gea's irresponsible nonsense on the field. After all, it was too boring. 25 minutes into the game, Ronaldo took the ball in front, after breaking through 3 people in a row, was put on the ground. White socks, obviously can see the footprints, but he did not complain, sat on the ground to tidy up the socks. This strength and his early enjoyment in the Premier League, not worth mentioning. The previous back tackle was not foul off, and the Premier League used to encourage physical confrontation, and there were a lot of hard-blooded men, and Manchester United's Keane was one of them. Even Luo can enjoy such treatment on the training ground, making him stronger. It was a right-hand free kick, and Cristiano looked at the distance and chose to give up, running inside the box to grab the point, and then Marcus Rashford, Buffon and Sancho stood together. The 3 of them discussed it, and Rashford also ran into the box to grab the point, although his ability can be said to be better than nothing. Brentford's 4 players, front and back, left and right, surrounded Luo, all kinds of small actions, naturally needless to say, pulling the jersey, card retreat, and even hooking shoulders and backs. The other, Anthony Martial and Marcus Rashford, can only get 1 player to watch them. The referee blew a whistle. Faye stepped on the ball, and then quickly jumped to the side. The Brentford players, in this instant, was shaken. Luo faced much less pressure. Sancho arced the ball straight into the middle of the penalty area and looked a little high, making it impossible to tell if he was going to pass the ball or hang the goal. Luo, in the middle of the forbidden area, under the bag of 4 people, jumped up high. Below him, 4 Brentford players followed suit, but to no avail. Luo jumped so high, every time he jumped, every time he fought for the top, it seemed to use up the last strength in his life, let himself be as high as possible, and constantly fight against gravity. In the live broadcast room, Jean Jun was shouting. Sancho passed, the pass was a little high, but it didn't matter. Cristiano, surrounded by the crowd, he jumped high, did not live up to Sancho's passing and trust. He perfectly topped the football, the ball scored. As if he were going to fly, he jumped so high, his body stretched very wide in the air, and he actually smashed the football directly down with a swooping bombing look, and the goalkeeper had no way to raise his hands, as if he were surrendering as a spear. In Sky Sports' live broadcast room, even Carragher stood up, waved his fist vigorously, celebrated a few times, and suddenly thought that he was a Liverpool celebrity, which was not appropriate, and sat down with his inner excitement. Neville and the guest Alan Smith had no worries. Cristiano, look at this, is really the best player in the world. Congress should legislate to ban Ronaldo from jumping in the box, which is so unfair to other players. Let's pay our respects to Cristiano, who doesn't look like a 36-year-old at all, and the energy and explosiveness in his body, who seems to be a lad in his 20s, which is so charming. A super long-range shot, a super header. I was thinking about the best goal of the round at first, but now I'm a little confused, which one to choose. The beauty of human confrontation is like this, and a statue should be built for Luo like this. Episode 165. When Luo jumped up, Liu Yi knew that the ball was going to go in, and quickly ran towards the corner flag area. After the goal, Luo was going to celebrate with a Sui 3i, but seeing Liu Yi rushing all the way, he simply came to a two-way galloping. The other players also rushed up, knocking Luo directly to the ground, waving their fists and roaring in anger. Venting the depression and pain of being tortured for nearly half an hour, and now it is completely vented. Luo's originally carefully groomed hair was directly made like a chicken coop, but fortunately, no one would care about this. It took more than a minute to celebrate, and everyone resumed the game at the urging of my judgment. At the same time, the fourth official also ran over to warn Liu Yi. "Liu, you are so suspected of picking the home fans, please restrain a little." Suddenly Liu Yi's face went black. "What is this?" "Sir, they are constantly fighting with their bodies on the pitch to stop us, and they have not even eaten a yellow card, which is something you should pay attention to, not to warn me of an unremarkable manager here. I will record all this truthfully in the game report. Is it useful?" After leaving out 3 words, Liu Yi ignored him and returned to his position. The fourth official was bitter, and he couldn't help it. The most important thing is that he is actually a Manchester United fan, and he is intimidated by his respected manager, which is really uncomfortable, hoping to get an autograph after the game to make up for his wounded heart. The game went on, and compared to the previous games, this game was much tougher for Manchester United and a lot of physical confrontation, which made the physical exertion very large. Then Brentford's players also began to become much smarter. Most of the foul sites were 30 meters away. Rashford played an anti-aircraft cannon, the back of the pass was not in place. Ronaldo did not grab the point. In the 44th minute of the first half, Cristiano Ronaldo, who had played against the other side for a whole time, received a pass from Terrace on the left, slammed the ball past the player in front of him with his fast heel, and stabbed the ball out 3 meters away with his toes, and the ball was forced to stretch out a defender. Immediately after a sharp acceleration to catch the opposing defender and control the ball under his feet, a dashing Marseille slalom has entered the box. The defender, who was circled by him, not noticing that he was already on the edge of the penalty area, directly reached out and tugged at Cristiano Ronaldo's shirt, a noticeable pulling action. Seeing that Luo was about to lose control, the defensive players in the penalty area directly came with a sliding shovel and prepared to release the ball, but he did not expect that Luo could even break out again. The pulled jersey bounced back, hitting the body a little bit. Luo was in the penalty area to control the ball. Just as he was about to make the next move, the opponent's unbearable legs were already shovels on his legs. Luo Lien was directly put down in the penalty area with the ball, directly rolled a few laps, and the severe pain made him have to hammer the ground several times, which could not help but not call out. The Manchester United players could not take care of anything else, and rushed over to see if Luo was okay, just obviously shovel on the calf, although it was said that the foot was closed, but the strength was still great. The team doctor on the sidelines also rushed up to help Luo spray a little ice mist to relieve a little pain. After careful confirmation, everyone was relieved that nothing happened. The referee showed the first yellow card of the game, and then awarded a penalty. Brentford's goalkeeper looked helpless. "No way, this is the fate." In the Longwa live broadcast room, Jean Jun saw that Luo was fine, which was relieved. "I originally thought that Luo had no chance to perform a hat-trick in the first half, but I didn't expect such an opportunity in the end." The football was put on the penalty spot by Marcus Rashford, and everyone looked at Ronaldo. "Hey, Anthony, give it a try." Ronaldo turned his head to look at Anthony Martial, who had several shots and a few beautiful passes in this game, but unfortunately did not gain. Martial felt that he had heard wrongly and couldn't help but point to himself. "That's right, you go for this penalty." Ronaldo came over, pulled in near the penalty spot, pointed to the football in front of him, and then retreated to the side, ready to rush up to make up for it. Oh, what did we see? That Rowe gave up his hat-trick opportunity to cede the penalty to Anthony Martial, who has been criticized for his poor performance lately. Maybe being Manchester United captain has made Luo more mature, with a mood to take care of the younger brothers, and of course, it is also a manifestation of the good atmosphere in the Manchester United team. We can see that even Martial himself can't believe it. I hope he doesn't live up to Ronaldo's kindness and can get the football in. At the scene of the game, Liu Yi stood on the sidelines and began to applaud, which was an encouragement to Martial and the most praise for Luo, and the Manchester United fans were naturally very satisfied and began to sing Luo's song. Ronaldo's greatness no longer needs to be proved by a hat-trick, but Anthony Martial needs a goal to cheer up his football career. Standing in front of the football, Martial looked at the goalkeeper in front of him, closed his eyes slightly, and opened them 3 seconds later. He took 5 steps back, heard the referee's whistle, and quickly began to run. The surface of the foot is directly pumped on the football, and the football is very fast. He shoots into the goal. The goalkeeper guessed the right direction, but the ground is slower. The ball broke through his armpit and into the goal behind him. Martial roared angrily, and one of the kneeling slid straight to the corner flag area, and Luo rushed up behind him, knocked him to the ground, and then pounced on it, and everyone began to stack the R-huts together. Congratulations to you, Anthony, you scored a beautiful goal. It will get better and better in the future, you have such strength and potential, believe in yourself, your goal is Henry. The referee looked at the time, did not even give a minute of stoppage time, did not even give Brentford the opportunity to kick off, and directly blew the end of the first half. See, Luo gave up his hat-trick, but let those who like him see his shining personality charm even more. Few people can resist the temptation of hat-tricks, not to mention the goal and the goal bonus. See, Ronaldo's goal prize is not a lot, and the club will not count this goal on his head. Inside the player channel, Liu Yi waited for Luo and high-fived him. Old Luo, nice job, you make us proud. Of course, I just want to make people who like me proud and make them happy. Well, that's Luo, and of course he wouldn't be modest in these things, or prevaricate or anything. In the Longwa live broadcast room, Jean Jun and Zhang Coach made comments and summaries of the first half. Luo did not score a hat-trick, but he helped Anthels, and Martial scored this penalty very decisively, and very hard, as if to shoot the recent depression directly into the goal. In the first half, Manchester United went into the dressing room with a 3-goal lead. Brentford had to think of a way to stop conceding more goals. We had an intense, wonderful first half. Let's take a break and the second half continues. Episode 166. At halftime, the players of Manchester United dragged down their socks, and it can be seen that the legs are full of blood marks, and the intensity of the first half is such that McTominay looks at the anger from the heart, the evil is bold, and the eyes look at Liu Yi, hoping that he can get a chance to play. Let these people know and know what is the real confrontation. Yes, McTominay has a weekly salary of £20,000 at Manchester United, and all the bonuses add up to just £60,000, not to mention that most of these rewards he can't get. He worked hard and diligently, and was often criticized and complained about by Manchester United fans for his unfinished work that was beyond the scope of his work. His job is to provide confrontation and scramble power in midfield, and he's done well in both areas. Just like Fred used to, his task in midfield was mainly to provide coverage and slow down the opponent's attack, and then everyone criticized his passing, and criticized him for his short legs. Is this what he can decide? The one who can provide coverage, confrontation, interception and passing, and even goals, that's not Fred, that's Kanté or further evolved Fred. In this kind of large-scale confrontation, McTominay is just right to play, but he still needs to wait. In the second half we reduced the pressure in the front, let out the opposing half, and then used the counterattack to crush the opponent, and the most important thing in the rest of the game is not to be injured. Old Bruno, how do you feel? Originally, Liu Yi was ready to call Fei Lao Bi, but immediately realized that this title was indecent, and quickly braked to change back. Fei is touched because he has just recovered from an injury, and the boss asks him this because he is worried that he will be injured again. Nothing was a problem. Well, if you don't feel comfortable, don't hold on, we need a healthy Bruno. After determining the tactics, the remaining good way, the usual training has a lot of content, the quality of training is also very high, the key is that the system will help every player under Liu Yi. In the dressing room in Brentford, Thomas Frank was sure that his tactics worked. So he asked that the second half continue to increase the body to hang, fouls should be a little earlier, fouls should be fouled with some non-hurtful actions, and after the foul, you should politely pull the other party up, or laugh and show that you did not mean it. Of course, United's young players, even Ronaldo, have bad tempers, and if we can provoke them and make them retaliatory red cards, maybe we still have some chances. Remember, don't make too many big moves, stupid moves like tackles in the box, don't let me see it again. 15 minutes passed quickly, many fans just had time to go to the toilet, and then in the football app or in the community, everyone discussed with each other, quarreled or something, and the time passed. It is rare to start a match at 3:30 a.m. Dragon time, and there are so many fans watching the game. The key is that many are not Manchester United fans at all. They want to watch Manchester United ugly and Ronaldo ugly. However, the current Manchester United and Luo have completely undergone transformation, so that this insistence group has become less and less. After all, the better Manchester United and Rowe perform, the more painful they are, and even if they fight back, the direction is still strange. For example, when in midfield, soon the Lion Crawl Forum football section, there was a post. The title was very interesting. See, Ronaldo gave up the penalty, not because he wanted to help Anthony Martial, but because he did not dare to penalize a penalty. Just imagine, see Ronaldo's hat-trick record, it is likely to be broken because this penalty cannot go in, so Luo's pressure can be imagined, but if you let this point out, then not only can you buy a good, but also avoid losing penalties, kill two birds with one stone. Luo San's vote is worthy of being a set of crooked reasoning. Let people want to spit out, do not know how to spit up. You even feel that when you see this post, your IQ has suffered a blow, and the comment on the last sentence is equivalent to being a fool. There are also many people who support him below, and the number of comments even exceeds 100 in a short period of time, and Luo goals comments, because it is too late, the number is not very large, there are only 120 comments. I think this makes sense. If Martial loses the penalty, he will definitely go up and encourage and comfort, so that he can reap a wave of blowing sticks. This is also in line with Luo's personality, he just thinks about himself, where to think about others. It is helpless, after all, people cannot be generalized. Liu Yi has been in China, often used the lion to climb the forum, but also keen to quarrel with people on it. After going abroad, there are many less, after all, he has more things to do, and he is a billionaire, and he is not bored to this point. 15 minutes after the midfield, the familiar voices of Zhang Jun and Zhang Coach appeared, indicating that the second half of the game was about to begin. Welcome back, let's look forward to having a wonderful second half and see if Rowe's hat-trick can continue. The club plus the national team, a total of 11 consecutive hat-tricks, this is not done by people. The most important thing is that the second place on this list is also Luo, but the data is too bad, 3 consecutive games. At the start of the second half, Jesse Lingard and McTominay warmed up on the sidelines, as did Van der Beek, watching the game on the court as he warmed up, thinking about what he would do with the ball if he were on the field. Greenwood put his hands on his chin and looked at Luo, who was running on the field, trying to imprint his movements in his mind. He was now completely conquered, it was too strong. Other efforts, there may be the possibility of catching up, but such as the header, it is not within their own ability at all. Besides, Luo is already 36 years old, and when he is 36, he can still score a few goals a year. Can he still appear on the field? Greenwood didn't have much confidence because most of the players had retired before this age. Just like Ronaldo's age, Liu Shaoqiu, Rooney is now a coach in Derby County, leading Derby County to struggle in the championship and hoping to succeed in relegation. But Luo was still invincible on the pitch, breaking one goal after another. On the field, just because of the space released by Manchester United, Brentford's players were involuntarily brought out, and the defensive formation suddenly became scattered, not as tight as before. This is exactly what Mourinho did in the early days, controlling the space on the pitch to create chances of scoring goals, and in contrast to Pep Guardiola, it is the style of play that controls the ball. Therefore, in Guardiola's team, a large number of short passes and dazzling cooperation between players, wearing a small range of stitches and embroidery, make people invincible. At that time, Mourinho's team was a solid defense, and then the wind and lightning, the attack of the big opening and closing gave people a refreshing, blood-boiling instinct. You know they're going to fight back, but you can't stop it. Now Manchester United is also like this. Liu Yi learned some things from Mourinho, of course, not to swing the bus, his space control is more exquisite beggar. Episode 167. Brentford is not a fish belly without the ability to fight back, and as Manchester United's formation recovers, some players inevitably start to think that if they can score a goal for Manchester United today, then there is no doubt that it is a matter of history. If there is any record in the future, he will definitely bring up his own name, just like Rooney, who ended Arsenal's unbeaten game that year. The formation has not only become loose, but also pressed towards the United half, and the United players have basically recovered to their own half. Withdraw your fist and punch it out to be more powerful, this truth Liu Yi understands. The Brentford midfielder, who burst forward with the ball continuously, came to the area 30 meters away from the Manchester United goal, and played a cold and powerful kick. The football went straight to the Manchester United goal like an arrow off the string. De Gea jumped up high, his body stretched out extremely widely, his hands stretched out as much as possible, and then he felt the football rubbing his fingers and the tip flew over. Broken. 2 words popped up in my mind, and then I heard a bang, and the ball smashed on the crossbar and bounced out of the penalty area. Brentford's player, ahead of Fred, used his body to squeeze him to the side, grabbed the second point, and passed the football to the side. The left side corresponds to United's right side. Now it's Dalot on the pitch and you can never trust his defensive ability. Although Dalot is an ordinary level and simply not enough for Manchester United's starting defender, his defensive ability is completely insufficient compared to his passing and attacking ability. Facing Visa, who was facing Brentford, was directly forced to squeeze out a position to break through, and did not even stop the person with a tug. Liu Yi, who was on the sidelines, couldn't help but touch his forehead, and it seemed that he still had to hurry to add a right back. Visa shrugged off Dalot and without hesitation picked up the cross, and the 3 Brentford players in the middle of the penalty area were already 3 ghosts tapping the goal, taking the main position. Unfortunately, the footwork of the cross was not mastered. De Gea directly hit the ball with both fists. Fred rushed ahead of everyone, passed the football directly to the front of the Ronaldo, a beautiful stop turn. The defender fell behind him. The explosive power showed vividly, just a few big steps. The wind steal to defend their own players with 2 meters away. Rashford on the left liked the current state the most, stepped on 2 long legs, rushed forward quickly, and rushed towards the middle of the road, letting Luo go to the left to break through. Sancho on the other side also rushed up, but his position was slightly behind, after all, not as fast as Rashford and Rowe. Tenthal, slightly later, appears at the top of the arc. From Fred taking the ball to Ronaldo's breakthrough, it has only been 5 or 6 seconds now, and he has reached the left side of the opponent's penalty area. Facing these 2 defensive players, Luo made a fake move directly to the bottom. The 2 blocked the bottom line pass route in unison, and Luo had already bumped the ball with his heel. The football was set aside. Fake a real pass to sweep the ball to the penalty spot. Rashford rushed all the way to the horse and used his toes to pass the ball into the goal. It was Marcus Rashford who scored. From counter-attack to goal, Manchester United has only experienced 3 people, 2 foot passes, from Fred to Cristiano Ronaldo, and then Ronaldo is responsible for the breakthrough, leaving the football to Marcus Rashford for a hammer. In less than 10 seconds, Brentford paid a terrible price for their reckless attack. 0-4, although Ronaldo said that he did not score a hat-trick, he has completed 2 goals and 1 assist, and Mu also made a penalty. Help Masha you regain your confidence. It's so beautiful, an incomparably classic counter-attack. Everyone is worried that Manchester United's recent control is too strong. Will it be such a speedy counter-attack? Now everyone knows, not only did they not lose their old business, but even better than before. The Brentford players, a little dazed, shook their heads. Just now they were still attacking. How come only a few seconds later, they were scored by the opponent again? So next, do you continue to attack, or focus on defense? Some people think of breaking the jar and breaking it. Some people want to stick to the defense, and some people feel that they have already lost 4 balls anyway, so it is better to go out and attack and steal a well ball. Thomas Frank himself was a little distracted, and the shot he had just shot almost made him seem to see a little light and it was not impossible to score. But then Manchester United counterattacked, pouring a basin of cold water on his head and calming him down. Offensive or defensive? In the chaos at Brentford, Manchester United have once again had a chance. Anthony Martial carried the ball down with the defender, slammed his heel to the side of Marcus Rashford, turned and rushed forward. Ronaldo took the opportunity to press forward and took away 2 defensive players. Rashford directly transferred widely, and the unguarded Sancho easily unloaded the cross. Anthony Martial followed with a light thrust that rewrote the score to 5. Just 60 minutes later, Liu Yi directly replaced Faye from Lingard, replaced Ronaldo with McTominay, and converted the formation on the field to 451 to increase the control of the midfield. Rely on McTominay's confrontation to protect the other players on the field. Sure enough, Lingard, who had just played, received Fred's pass and prepared to burst forward with the ball himself, directly from behind and fell to the ground. After watching half the game, he knew that it was useless to complain, and he got up at the first time to grab it. Then he was directly pushed down again, fell on the ground, and the ball fell into the hands of the other party. The referee saw it clearly, but signaled that there was no foul and that the game went on. Can this be tolerated? When McTominay was off the court, he couldn't stand it anymore, and immediately said hello to Fred, and the 2 exchanged defensive positions. The other side took the ball and broke through along the sideline, and McTominay rushed straight up, simply and neatly releasing the shovel, bringing this guy to the sideline. The force was so great that it directly knocked this guy into the billboard on the side, and the most important thing was that this foot also shoveled the ball. After releasing the shovel, McTominay got up directly and ran towards his defensive area, without looking at the other side, and he dared to do it again. Drip. The referee's whistle sounded behind McTominay and then showed the second yellow card of the game, one on the side of Manchester United and Brentford. After Ronaldo went down, Buffet also followed the captain's armband and handed it to Lingard. Originally he had been put down twice in a row, the referee did not show it, Jesse Lingard held his breath, and now McTominay was shown a yellow card with a crisp and sharp tackle. He immediately walked up to the referee and explained, "Hey, sir, they fouled me in front of me and put me down twice in a row without even touching the ball. Scott McTominay, this is a beautiful tackle, no fouls." The referee had a serious look on his face, signaled Jesse Lingard to go farther, and then pointed to his eyes, meaning that I could see, not a blind man. Episode 168. In the end, Jesse Lingard got a yellow card for beeping some referees, and Manchester United surpassed Brentford in the number of yellow cards. Not to mention the Manchester United fans who watched the game, even the Brentford fans on the scene felt outrageous, they felt that the referee's behavior was a betrayal of football. The Wolf shook his hand fiercely, and Lingard glanced at the referee a few times, trying to go up hard and give him a shovel. Just like that, I was kind enough to say that I saw it, and I was really disabled. What an inspirational story, perhaps one should forgive a blind man. In the following matches, United relied on the cooperation of players to threaten Brentford's goal again and again, but in the end they did not convert into goals. 80 minutes of the goal was blown away by a suspected foul on Mike Jr. 3 minutes earlier. Lingard was kept by Fredra to avoid him going down with a red card. Sancho, who worked hard all the time and scored hard, felt that his mentality exploded, and was replaced by Liu Yi with Van der Beek. Finally at Marcus Rashford, an offside was blown in a counter-attack, and in fact not far from the referee, Brentford had at least 2 defenders holding behind. Even Brentford fans began to applaud and cheer for Manchester United, and the referee was a little dazed for a while, but soon regained his composure. Anyway, the support of the fans can't change his decision. The game ended like this, and the Brentford players were naturally very unhappy, but the United players were also very angry. Never before had he been so depressed, and Lingard was angry and wanted to stone things in the clothes room. It was because of the referee's commotion that his 2 assists were wiped out, but the team eventually won a big victory, and if he lost because of this, he could kill the referee. "Guys, I'm the good guy." Liu Yi, who entered the locker room, could clearly feel that there was something wrong with the atmosphere and quickly reminded everyone. Such difficulties will be more and more in the future, because we show enough dominance, seeing that other teams are difficult to challenge us, the FA in order to avoid the Premier League into the Bundesliga, or Serie A, or even League One, a dominant situation, naturally to find us some trouble. So this is just the beginning, keep a normal mind, we will encounter more difficult situations in the future, but as long as we are united and brave to move forward, we can definitely break through. We Manchester United, we have not tasted the main trophy for almost a decade, and we have not won the Champions League for more than 10 years, is it too much to take a few trophies now? You tell me. Not too much. Of course. We're going to get back all the things we've lost over the years. The atmosphere in the locker room was stirred, and Liu Yi was very satisfied with everyone's speeches. Luo and assistant coach Carrick, who are the best players of the game, tend to go to the press conference. Without seeing Liu Yi, the reporters were naturally very disappointed. Carrick was not as strong as Liu Yi. Compared to the Demon King Liu, Carrick spoke too carefully. "Hi Cristiano, you don't get a hat-trick in this game, do you feel a sense of relic?" "Of course not, the important thing is that the team wins, we win 3 points and continue to move towards the championship." C. Luo smiled, of course, he knew that he could perform so many hat-tricks, most of which were inseparable from the support of the coach, but like today's game, if he stayed a little longer, he might have to go to the hospital. What do you think of the unprecedented feat of scoring a hat-trick in 10 consecutive matches? C. Luo smiled, held out a finger, and pointed out the error in the question. "Sorry, it is 11 games, of course, this is very good, the important thing is that we can win and keep going. Do you feel like the strongest player in the world?" "No doubt. You didn't score a hat-trick in this game, is the state starting to decline, and the dividends of the team changing coaches are gradually receding." C. Luo is a little speechless, thanks to the fact that he is a veteran who has participated in many press conferences. If you change a young person, most of them will be blown up by the mentality of these people. "We still have a 5-goal victory, the most important thing is that the boss has to protect our players from getting injured in the game." "Are you basing the referee?" "That's what you think, I think the referee did everything he could. When the game is over, there is no need to offend the referee. In case of a penalty from the FFA, it will not be worth the loss. Before daring to run away on his own, Luo left the press conference and returned to the locker room to make a kick to the door, thanks to not being photographed, otherwise he would not have eaten good fruit. Carrick has a lot of experience, and his mentality is much better, playing Tai Chi well. A mouthful of official speeches that didn't have any eggs made the reporters feel very uncomfortable, but there was nothing they could do. After all, they couldn't control Carrick and let him speak casually. Looking at the expressions of the people below, Carrick's mood was much cooler. Since he sincerely followed Liu Yi, his mentality was very correct, protecting the Cavs. When I returned to the accommodation, it was already 11 o'clock in the evening, still the same as before. Liu Yi on the bus gave the players a holiday. I only have one thing to emphasize: don't be photographed by the sun. I don't like to see my own players appear on the page of the Lace News, and finally show up on time at the training ground the morning after tomorrow. The crowd cheered in unison. Understood. As for going out and having some fun, it's all young people anyway, don't go too far. Liu Yi returned to the hotel, lay alone in the bathtub, took a comfortable bath, took out his mobile phone and looked at it, and found that as usual, many people sent messages to themselves. Big BB, little brother, congratulations on winning another game. Liu Yi showed some smiles on his face. Thank you big sister for your concern. Why haven't you slept so late? Demi bye. It is just a night scene. After the filming of the time is just right. I watched your game. I have to say that Coach Liu on the sidelines is handsome. When chatting with Dababy, Liu Yi received the good news brought by Zhao Lingyue. Jia Yaodong and his mother's passports had been issued, and if there was no accident, they would be able to go to Manchester the morning after tomorrow. Jiao Yaodong, who is systematically evaluated as a young man with a talent that can change the football of the Dragon Kingdom. What kind of genius this must be, at least the existence of the Golden Ball. Unfortunately, he has not yet entered the Youth Academy of Manchester United, and Liu Yi cannot see the information of the other party, but it is exciting to think about. So much so that when he chatted with Dababy, they all became particularly angry, so that Dababy sent several photos of Dababy and sent Coach Liu a good night's dream. Episode 169. The next day, Liu Yi flew directly back to Manchester without even logging in to see the game. Yao Yaodong is coming, he has to make some preparations. The most important thing is that he is alone, and there is nothing to visit. Back in Manchester, a little bit more informed, just as Santa Cuco called him. Hey, dear Liu, I think I may have to postpone retirement. Now working with you, I feel like I am several years younger. Ha ha ha, hopefully the Glazer family can give you a decent salary. You've done too much for Manchester United's business expansion. Speaking of salary, your contract is ready. Shall we take a moment to sign it? Or this afternoon? Liu Yi had nothing to do anyway. It was only 11 o'clock in the morning, and he had time to hold a small press conference. Sandesi on the other side of the phone was stunned, but he was immediately moved by Liu Yi's free-horned worm. Of course, I respect your choice. Well, then leave it to you to arrange and let me know the time. After hanging up the phone, Liu Yi called Mendes again, who is also in Manchester and has just made a final confirmation of the contract yesterday, and he has a copy in his hand to prevent Manchester United from getting into trouble. After receiving Liu Yi's call, he came to Liu Yi's mansion with the contract for the first time and fully explained the side of the contract. Compared with the previous 2 times, there is no doubt that there has been a huge improvement, with particularly noticeable increases in salaries and bonuses, as well as some transfer power. Of course, this requires Liu Yi to come up with enough results, and only by winning 2 championships this year can he achieve all the contents of the contract. If you can get the Triple Crown, it will be another matter. Maybe you will need to sign a new contract to prove Liu Yi's value. Looking at Mendes's expression, Liu Yi smiled and shook his head, and Mend did not know that he had a stake in Manchester United. Jorge, I'm already satisfied. Going from being a Manchester United fan to being a Manchester United manager is already one of the biggest surprises of my life. Now all I have to do is build a Manchester United dynasty across Europe. I believe in your ability. Jorge really believes in Liu Yi. He has never seen such a dominant coach. Only the former Mourinho and Pep Guardiola have had some signs, but they definitely can't average 5 goals per game and don't lose a single goal. Thank you also for your help. It's my job, and Manchester United also need to give you a contract worthy of Manchester United's managerial status. Mendes's statement made Liu Yi feel bright, and it was really like this. For example, the Premier League top card has always been a Manchester United player, and occasionally it may be other teams, but since the beginning of the Premier League era, most of the time has been Manchester United players. Cantona, Beckham, Van Nistelrooy, Giggs, Ronaldo, Rooney. Ronaldo are all well-known names. occupying nearly half of the Premier League top spot. Unfortunately, since the retirement of Sir Yi, Manchester United has entered the 8 or 9 years of crotch-pulling time, and the team as a whole from management to the head coach has fallen into an inexplicable vicious circle. The money was spent in large amounts, but it didn't bring in enough good players and didn't get good enough results. The best thing is still that Mourinho, who is disliked by some Manchester United fans, won the Europa League with a remnant of the squad and a bunch of players with crutches. It is not enough for Manchester United, which means that Manchester United fans have been unable to look up in front of their nemesis fans in recent years, and can only comfort themselves by reminiscing about their interactions. As Manchester United manager, Liu Yi also needs a contract that fits the value of the body to prove his status and value at Manchester United. Before Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had a salary of £9 million, this salary is in line with Manchester United's positioning in recent years, one to keep the Champions League seat, if you can get a cup match, the best positioning. As one of the 8 core cities in England, Manchester is also a financial and industrial centre, as well as a dedicated media city, and there are naturally many journalists. A team like Manchester United is naturally full of hot spots, and journalists are often happy to come. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Carrington's press conference room, dozens of reporters gathered here, including Kevin and Hua Qingshu, who were servants of the wind and dust. These two naturally did not get the invitation of Sandesi. It was Liu Yi who took the initiative to call Kevin and pull a little brother. The two drove for 2 hours and finally arrived at the scene in time. Welcome to the signing ceremony of our new contract between Manchester United and Liu Yi. Richard Arnold personally presided over the event, welcoming journalists to come and give a gift from Manchester United by the way. Then Liu Yi signed a contract with Sandesi, and then showed a shirt from Manchester United according to the custom, and was interviewed by reporters. The reporter of the Mirror News was the first to get the opportunity. Ed, is it a sign of your third contract with Liu so soon? Does it mean that Manchester United are under pressure from Newcastle and other teams? Sandesi smiled slightly, everything was under control, and coughed softly. No, we have re-recognized the value of Liu and realized that we must give him enough respect. Liu is our Manchester United head coach and naturally does not communicate with other teams. There was no explosive content, and the reporter of the Mirror News sat down sadly. The second person to get the favor was the reporter of the Manchester Evening News, who was his own person. Of course, I had a lot of time. Ed, this time we can guarantee that Liu will stay a little longer and make sure he starts a new dynasty at Manchester United. Sandesi nodded, then looked at Liu Yi and asked if he wanted to tell the contents of the contract. Liu Yi naturally had no problem, nodding his head and agreeing to break in. Of course, we signed a 5-year contract with Liu and the club has a 1-year extension option, and if nothing else, we'll see Liu in the coaching bench at Manchester United in the years to come, doing things like the old squatter's house. Worthy of being their own people, the reporters of the Manchester Evening News are very satisfied, and only their own people can ask such substantive questions. A 5-year contract, with a 1-year renewal option, is great news for United fans. The Sky Sports reporter stood up and asked, Ed, can you talk about Liu's salary? After all, his previous salary is not worthy of his ability and achievements. Of course, if Liu can reach the club's target, then his contract will be raised to £18 million before the start of next season, and there is a possibility of further improvement. We Manchester United have our own glory. Our Manchester United head coach salary naturally cannot be worse than other teams. We fully support Liu in Manchester United to open a new dynasty, lay a big country. Episode 170. Liu Yi's new contract has also had a great response within Longhua. After all, Longhua's sports industry can get such a contract, it can be said that there is none. The biggest contract before should be when Yao Yao was in the NBA, which was almost $75 million in 5 years. There is no doubt that Liu Yi's contract of at least 5 years and £90 million is more than Deo, not to mention that there are bonuses and possible salary increases, which are not counted. People have praised, Liu coach has only led the team for more than a dozen games, and he has got such a contract, and the vast majority of coaches will not be able to get it in their lifetime. But for the people of Longhua, there is another issue that is more concerned, which is the question raised by Kevin at the press conference site and the opportunity given by Liu Yi. Director Liu, will you enter our Dragon Country players at the right time? Liu Yi immediately laughed out. For the domestic media, the favorite is this kind of problem. Of course, if there is a suitable Dragon Country player, I will start to bring it in, provided that there is enough strength. I can't harm the interests of the team and the club for my own selfishness. If the Dragon Kingdom has young players and players who want to come to Manchester United for trials, then I am here to open the door to convenience. or that sentence talent and strength have the final say. After his words spread to China, they were directly searched by the self-media and some media, taken out of context. Hashtag. 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 Such a few contradictory hot searches, just hanging on the internet, make people look very speechless. Click into it and find that they are self-media, or what the commentator's own imagination. Fortunately, Manchester United Club, now very concerned about the fishing wheel of the Dragon Kingdom, to prevent problems in the base camp of the Marshal. After discovering that these people took it out of context, they simply sent out a complete interview video, and all the natural truth came out. Of course, there are some people who do not like to see the truth. They just want to use Liu Yi's words to criticize Longwa football garbage, or to criticize Liu Yi as a garbage anyway. There is absolutely nothing good to say. You debunk the rumors and they can't see either. However, some insiders, it is better to say that Liu Han and Wang Xiaolei are naturally a little speechless about this kind of news. They not only know that Liu Yi cares about Longwa football, he has even begun to introduce Longwa's small players. In order to help Gao Yaodong better trial, Wang Xiaolei also gave him a set of top equipment. Liu Han also sent some gifts to help him better adapt to life abroad. They also casually said, just wait for Gao Yaodong to pass the trial. And then in Manchester United's youth training system, when he can lift the ball, everything will naturally be exposed. At that time, Liu Yi's reputation in the domestic football world will directly reach its peak, and no one can slander and pour dirty water on him. For Liu Yi, a few people scolding himself is a good thing after all. The family is still living in the country, and if they are respected, everything will be more convenient. After signing the contract, Liu Yi has taken a guaranteed salary of 12 million yuan since this week, and the week is almost 250,000 pounds. If you think about it, 250,000 pounds is more than 2 million renminbi. How much is a suite in Dragon City? Coupled with the previous savings, when the Christmas holidays are over, you must return to China once to help your parents settle down and at least improve their living conditions. In the evening, Liu Yi entered the game system and looked at it, and the reward for defeating Brentford was a random senior talent card. Since the acting card, there has finally been a new card, but what is this thing used for coaching the game? Casually chose to use, and thought it would be some kind of flute or something, exercise the flexibility of the tongue. It seems that he has some use. What I didn't expect to come out of was the advanced football winger skills, can play the main force in the championship, play substitutes in the middle and lower reaches of the Premier League, and play bench players in the Giants. This is really a skill that Liu Yi very much wants to get. He also wants to play 2 feet, but unfortunately, his own level is only a substitute level of a big school team, and he has never played again after graduating from college, and he has long been degraded to his grandmother's house. So these days, he is on the training ground, just hanging around, not showing football ability. Now, when the training starts tomorrow, give the players a surprise in their minds. A lot of things. The body seems to have some changes. Casually find a football to try, toss the ball. This small thing has done a very slippery person in the mansion, with the football back and forth a few laps, and then happily into the dream. In the dream, Liu Yi dreamed that he was killing 4 parties on the training ground and was breaking through with the ball, when he was thrown to the ground by Fred in a sweep, and then woke up in the tidal laughter of other team members. Even dared to laugh at herself. Tomorrow give these hammers a physical training. Fred, who was sleeping, sneezed and rolled over to sleep, completely unaware that because of a tackle in his coaching dream, the whole team had ushered in a physical training. The other team members are also unlucky. The next morning, Liu Yi drove to Carrington Base early, and Taylor, who was more than 20 years old, said hello to him quickly. "Liu, it looks like you had a good rest last night. My wife made a cake by herself. Do you want to have one?" "Well, of course, thank you for your kind hospitality." Liu Yi reached over and brought a piece of cake. He just didn't eat breakfast, and it was also very good to eat some cake. "You're welcome, Liu. Your performance in every game. Let us old guys all be in a good mood. Maybe we can live a few more years to see God." Liu Yi didn't say much, just smiled and waved his hand towards the inside of Xuanchuan Lianji. The flight between Zhao Lingyue and Yao Yaodong's mother and son, from Longwa to London, is about a little more than 10 hours, departing from Longwa time at 11:50 a.m. and arriving at about 2000 hours p.m. Longwa time, that is, about 12 o'clock noon UK time. Calculate the time. From London to Manchester, take a flight for more than an hour, so around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, he should be able to see Gao Yaodong almost at night. Originally he was ready to pick up Yao Yaodong in person, but then gave up. Too enthusiastic is not a good thing. In case it is not good to scare the children, it is still normal to wait until the training base, meet with him, meet as a compatriot, and have a chat. Someone has to greet you, and you also need a conspicuous point to get to know them in Guangdong. Hey, old card. Liu Yi patted Carrick's shoulder. Looking at the boss smiling and squinting, Carrick instinctively felt that it was not a good thing. There's a young player from Dragon Country who is going to come to us for a trial, and I hope you can help pick you up at the airport. After all, you are a well-known Manchester United player, so they can trust you. What else can be said? Carrick can only say yes, because in front of him, the rest of Manchester United's players are trying to run laps and do physical training. Once you say half a word out of your mouth, I'm afraid you have to run 5 kilometers with it. Episode 171. At Manchester International Airport, Zhao Lingyue took Yao Yaodong and Lin Shuyue out of a pile of foreigners and walked out of the airport. He was also the first time to come to Britain, or even the first time to go abroad. Lin Shuyue and Yao Yaodong, needless to say, all three of them were nervous. Don't be nervous, Director Liu said he would let Carrick pick us up. Carrick, you know, United's former midfielder. Pretty handsome in a suit. Yao Yaodong rolled his eyes. He could hear that Zhao Lingyue was using constant nagging to ease the tension in his heart. Looking at him like this, it made Yao Yaodong relax a little, and he turned his head to look at his mother, slightly flustered and overwhelmed. Looking around, not far from the side of the road, there was a man wearing sunglasses and a cold face, holding a sign in his hand that read Yao Yaodong's 3 words. When he was a child, Ko Yaotong was a Luo fan, and he started watching Real Madrid games, but since a few days ago, he has been a Manchester United fan. At a glance, I recognized that it was Carrick, and who else? Uncle Zhao. Carrick is over there. Zhao Lingyue looked at Yao Yaodong's finger and quickly walked over to that side, thinking about how to greet his 6th level English. Hello. Carrick saw 3 Asians walking towards him and immediately realized that this should be the person the coach asked him to pick up, and took the initiative to say hello. Hello, hello, hello. Ling Chang'an tightened his grip on the FA House hand. As for chatting, it was impossible. The 3 of them could only use both hands and mouths, confirm their identities, and go straight to the parking lot. Carrick can speak a few dragon words, all of which Liu Yi learned after he came, including and limited to hello, hard work, old card, kill him, rush duck, and so on. The English level of these 3 people is a little better than Carrick's dragon language level, but they do not have the conditions to chat. Everyone's choice can only be to send a message to Liu Yi. Hey, boss, I've got someone. Carrick sat in the car and sent a message to Liu at the first time. Liu Yi, who was waiting at Carrington Base, directly called a video. Old card, give your phone to other people, I will talk to them. Carrick agreed, handed the phone to Zhao Lingyue in the back, and then drove honestly. The traffic police in England will not fine a little less because he is Carrick. Old Zhao, there's no problem along the way. Very good, no problem. Yao Dong and his mother are on the side. Boss, do you want to talk to them? Zhao Lingyue is a sensible man. Liu Yi, an unmarried man in his 30s, has something to talk about with his own big masters, and this beautiful young woman on the side is the focus. Liu Yi was also not polite and nodded. Okay, you give them the mobile phone. Intentionally or unconsciously, Zhao Lingyue handed the mobile phone to Lin Shuyue, a beautiful young woman in her 30s, who appeared in Liu Yi's line of sight, making him slightly stunned, but quickly reacted. Good guidance, Liu. Lin Shuyue and Gao Yaodong gathered together and greeted Liu Yi. Ha ha ha, out are their own people, don't be so polite, wait for Carrick to take you to Carrington, let's walk around, in the evening I invite you to dinner, and then have a good chat. Director Liu, you have helped us so much to Yaodong, or we will ask you. Lin Shuyue quickly expressed his position, hoping to give Liu Yi a good impression. At the same time, I also muttered in my heart that this Liu director who had cleaned up was really too handsome. Of course, the most handsome time was when he was on the side of the court. This matter is so decided. When Yao Dong plays the starting start under me in the future and becomes the #1 star in our Dragon Kingdom, let him invite me to dinner. Director Liu, I won't let you down. Yao Yaodong exposed half of his face and shouted at Liu Yi. No problem, do you have any favorite stars? I see who has an empty mouth, we have to hang out and stay. Director Liu, I am a C Luo fan, I have liked C Luo since I was 6 years old, is he now in the training base? Yao Yaodong ignored his mother's obstruction and directly shouted out what he wanted in his heart. After all, he was still a teenager. Lin Shuyue's face was embarrassed, and her face was slightly red, and she felt that her son was too ignorant, so she put forward such a request and quickly explained it. Director Liu, don't you mind, Yaodong is still a child and likes nonsense. Ha ha ha, this is not a big deal, my relationship with Lao Luo, he is in Portugal, I have a phone call to call him back, no problem. Hanging up the phone, Lin Shuyue stared at her son twice. looking very angry. Why can't we understand things a little? We just arrived, so troublesome people. Liu guidance, how do you let people think? Will you think that you are a person who does not know the weight? Seeing that his mother was really a little angry, Xiao Yaodong quickly admitted his mistake. Mom, don't be angry, I was wrong. Liu Guide should not care about this. Whether you care or don't care is not up to you. You can't be so foolish in the future, you have to ask for it as an adult. Liu Yi really did not care about this anyway. Si Luo ran the circle in the morning and did some technical training in the afternoon, or recovering, mainly to be flexible, to prevent himself from being injured. Leaving the office, he appeared in Carrington's training ground and greeted Luo. "Lao Luo, come on." Si Luo ran over quickly. If there is nothing to do, the boss will not call himself. Is there any training cheats for himself? Lao Luo, we have a small player in China who came to us for trial training. It is your fan. You will accompany me for a walk. Take a picture with him. To Luo, Liu Yi was not polite and directly explained his intentions. No problem, boss. I'll show you the dragon language I've learned recently and show you my level. Si Luo has a look of self-confidence. Recently he and Fred, Verony, Lingard and others have begun to learn dragon language. Each other, you catch up with me. No one wants to be the worst one. 20 minutes later, Carrick drove into Carrington's parking lot, and the three of them looked around curiously. From time to time, there were staff members who smiled at the three of them in a friendly way. Since Liu Yi established himself in Manchester United, let alone at the training base, even on the streets of Manchester, Longoren has become very popular. There was also news that travelers from the island nation and the southern stick were posing as dragon nationals in Manchester. Yao Yaodong got out of the car, followed Carrick forward, just turned a corner, and saw two people standing not far in front of him, one wearing a down jacket from Bositting and one wearing a down jacket from Manchester United. It was Liu Yi and Si Luo, a toolman who was temporarily pulled over. Guided Liu, Cristiano. Yao Yaodong shouted in surprise, and his feet couldn't help but speed up, and then he was dragged back by his mother behind him, signaling him to steady his focus. Episode 172. In the following time, Si Luo showed his dragon language level, which made Yao Yaodong and the three of them stunned. I could even talk about 2 sentences, at least at the level of Carrick. I don't know where it went. How, my dragon language level, is it already amazing? This sentence Si Luo said in dragon language, a proud face waiting for the praise of the people in front of him. Cristiano, you're already very good. Yao Yaodong stroked, using his own shallow English, thumbs up to show praise for Luo. Everyone laughed in unison. Lin Shuyue was also relieved. It seems that Liu Yi is really a very easygoing person. In addition, I look really handsome, and there is a charm that makes people want to be close involuntarily, and between words, it is full of attraction. Everyone walked and talked. By the way, to introduce the Carrington training base, the staff who came over from time to time greeted Liu Yi respectfully, so that the three people felt his status here. Tomorrow I will arrange for you to go to the trial training side, but don't expect me to give you the back door. Everything still needs your own efforts. The handsome men felt sorry for each other, and Liu Yi still had some good feelings for this young man who was 8 points handsome enough. Welfare still has to give some, such as a little motivation. When you pass the trial training, I will send you a team-signed jersey. Let Lao Luo give you a pair of sneakers, and he is richer than me. Jerseys are also expensive. Laughed to death. When I came before, I always had the idea that when I couldn't do it, I would let them sign the free jersey, and then take it back to our country to buy it, and I would definitely make a fortune. Liu Yi laughed and made a joke. After the training, the players of Manchester United came to greet Liu Yi one after another, and by the way, in front of Yao Yaodong, showed their dragon language level. Yao Yaodong still couldn't understand what that meant. Zhao Lingyue and Lin Shuyue are adults, naturally know the secret behind this. These players can take the initiative to learn the dragon language for Liu Yi, which shows the importance and respect for him. After all, in the process of just hanging out, Liu Yi has shown his English level, as well as Portuguese and Spanish proficiency. Communication is not a problem at all, and there is no need to translate. In the evening, Liu Yi drove the three people to the restaurant for dinner, and had already booked a private room with Rodeka, a restaurant with French cuisine. Originally, I wanted the three to try British food, but I was afraid of scaring the three of them and finally gave up. The main thing is that Liu Yi himself does not know what delicious restaurants there are in Britain, and he has not been able to enjoy delicious British cuisine for so long. Casually insulting Ying, but also let everyone feel that Liu Yi showed a strong self-confidence. In the parking lot of the restaurant, Liu Yi directly threw the key to the waiter after getting out of the car, but was recognized by the waiter. Liu, welcome to our restaurant. We are all fans of Manchester United. I hope you can lead us to continue to be brilliant. Of course, rest assured, I will do my best to make the United fans happy. Liu Yi patted each other's shoulders, and then the two took a picture. In the next restaurant, Liu Yi let 3 compatriots from the Dragon Kingdom feel what is called popularity and status. Just after entering the gate, the white restaurant manager greeted him with a smile, reached out and shook hands with Liu Yi, and the enthusiasm was unbearable. Liu, it is an honor for you to come to my restaurant. It's nice to make you happy. Liu Yi also responded with a smile. There is no doubt that this is a Manchester United fan. Manchester City fans will not feel honored, only feel congested. Guys, Manchester's most honored guests, we the King of the Red Devils, the King of the Devils came to our restaurant, and tonight everyone's dining fee is 10% off. Now let's sing for the Demon King Liu together. Then the Manchester United fans in the restaurant began to cheer, stood up from their stools, and began to sing the song written to Liu Yi, the Demon King Liu Yi. Liu Yi, Liu Yi, Liu Yi. You are the King of the Red Devils. Liu Yi, Liu Yi, Liu Yi. You're driving all the Reds crazy. As a future Manchester United person, Yao Yaodong concentrated on making up a lot of knowledge during this time, and Shun Nai also learned this song. It's in this hall, and everyone sings along. This makes Liu Yi very satisfied. After all, an outgoing personality is very helpful for him to make friends and then get help on the court. After the song was sung, the fans in the audience applauded enthusiastically, and the cheers came and went. Liu, we can win the Premier League this year, right? Liu, if you can win the Champions League, I am willing to accompany you for one night. Of course, you can do it for a few more days. A hot beauty threw a few winks at Liu. It triggered laughter and applause from the scene. As a party, Liu Yi had not done anything about it. Lin Shuyue, who was standing behind him, blushed with shame. How could these foreigners be so bold? How could such words be said in front of so many people? Liu Yi also had a brief interaction with everyone, and then followed the manager to the bag. Except for the occasional waiter who came in and out, no one bothered them. Everyone talked about some life in Manchester, of course, mainly Liu Yi said. The other 3 listened. After Zhao Lingyue's work is completed, he will immediately return to China and formally accept Liu Yi's affairs in China, and everyone will not have to run so far if they want to cooperate with Liu Yi in the future. Yao Yaodong and Lin Shuyue, however, made up their minds to stay. You have to learn English well. Once you pass the trial training, the club will arrange for you to go to a nearby school. It is a good middle school. If you think that learning and playing football can be taken into account, you can also go to university in the future. Yaodong's academic performance is still good. Lin Shuyue quickly said something to her son. Well, the people who can play well in football are basically smart people. After all, reading the game also requires IQ, but I hope that Yaodong can continue to go to school, play football while learning up, and become the first high-quality football idol in our country. Zhao Yaodong nodded vigorously while eating. The coach is assured that when I was in China before, I also played football and learned at the same time. Everyone chatted and chatted, naturally getting closer and closer, not to mention that Liu Yi had an attractive charm, and the atmosphere was also much more relaxed. When it was time to leave after eating, Zhao Lingyue noticed the fact that they had not predetermined the hotel for tonight. It's now more than 9 p.m., and I don't know if it's too late. Accurately predicted Manchester United and Atletico's Champions League. I have to say that the whole life depends on UEFA. Episode 173. In the end, Liu Yi took the 3 back to his mansion and stayed for a temporary night. Guidance Liu, will it be inconvenient? Lin Shuyue was a little worried. After all, she was living in someone's house. Zhao Lingyue also considered the first time they met, whether it was a little too impolite to do so. Yeah, boss, let's find a place to deal with the night. Only Yao Yaodong felt that there seemed to be no problem. At the darkest time of his life, Liu Yi pulled him out directly, and also sent him to a bright avenue, making him feel a fatherly dependence on Liu. Living in your father's house, naturally there will be no problem. Liu Yi and others can see Yao Yaodong's attributes later, and they will find this article, so that there are already 2 people who have developed feelings similar to his father. Maybe this is the legendary dad, full of anger. Nothing inconvenient, the home is big enough that I live alone and empty. Hearing this, Lin Shuyue suddenly moved in her heart and couldn't help but ask in the direction. Director Liu, what about your girlfriend, don't you live with you? What a girlfriend? Liu Yi smiled and waved his hand. Yao Yaodong did not think much about it. In his opinion, his mother was only talking about some short problems in the parents, not to mention that he was only a teenager and was not sensitive to these things. However, as an old driver, Zhao Lingyue suddenly moved in his heart and seemed to have some ideas. As the boss's plenipotentiary agent, He was a lawyer before, and he quickly recognized his identity. The mansion with swimming pool, Ye Yaodong has only seen it on the internet in his life, and he did not expect that he could live one day, and his mood was naturally exceptionally good. When you become famous later, the luxury car villa is divided into minutes, provided that you have strong ability and self-discipline, in order to let yourself get enough benefits in your career. Liu Yi also warned the little guy in passing, after all, countless amazing young people, because of lack of self-discipline, or fame lost in money and beauty, lost themselves. Naturally, they were unable to cash in on their talents. After entering the door, the fast food and convenience that Liu Yi had eaten were incorporated into everyone's visual line. Guidance Liu, you eat these every day. Liu Yi is a little embarrassed. He already knows to bring people back, he will clean up, he is a single dog, hoping that the family is clean, that is unrealistic. Usually, a person also has to cook, either go out to eat, or deal with a casual bite at home. I knew I was going to bring you back, so I packed up. Lin Shuyue said 2 words in passing, eating this is not healthy, and it is not good for the body. Yao Yaodong rolled his eyes, Mom, how do you teach me the same? Lin Shuyue blushed and quickly gave Liu Yi a gargle. Liu guide, I'm sorry. It's okay, I think the same way. I've always wanted to find a babysitter who can cook Chinese food, cook and clean up every day, and I haven't been able to take care of it. Hearing this sentence, Lin Shuyue suddenly saw a bright eye. He would cook by himself, there was no problem with cleaning. His son also needed to spend a lot of money to play football here, and he could also subsidize a little family. Yao Yaodong reacted quickly. As soon as he heard this is not just the mother. Brother Liu Yi, my mother has made a good meal, and she is also a good hand at cleaning up the family. We all know our own roots, and you don't have to worry about being poisoned. Syllable. Lin Shuyue reached out and slapped his son on the head, glared at him, and said nonsense. What poisoning, what nonsense? Yao Yaodong made a grimace, completely unaware that his beloved Liu Yi was a man with a strong flesh, a good body, and had been single for many years. When we are free, discuss it well, go to sleep now, start to enter the trial state tomorrow, rest well is very important, do not let your mother down. Liu Yi looked at Yao Yaodong and pointed to Lin Shuyue on the side. After saying that, he added, of course, don't be bullied, someone wants to bully you, you don't have to put up with it, I am your strong backing. Yao Yaodong nodded vigorously, and his eyes were full of determination and emotion. The next day, Liu Yi got up early, suddenly heard the sound of someone busy in the kitchen, and looked at it with some curiosity. Lin Shuyue was busy inside, looking like she was preparing breakfast. Hearing the voice coming from behind him, he hurriedly turned his head and looked at Liu Yi together, making a big red face. Director Liu, I just made some breakfast, and I don't know if it suits your appetite. Mom, why are you so modest? Usually brother Liu Yi probably doesn't eat breakfast. Yao Yaodong came out from behind him, probably just finished washing, holding a towel to wipe his hair. Liu Yi also has no dishes at home, cooking some porridge has nothing, can only be a frangipani, and then get an egg cake or something. At breakfast, Liu Yi also specially reminded Yao Yaodong. After arriving at Carrington, you have to call me coach, you can't just scream, I won't open your eyes because of you. Now everything depends on your own efforts, you have to fight. Manchester United's academy has geniuses from all over the world. You have to do everything to surpass everyone in order to stay. Brother Liu Yi, rest assured, I will certainly not embarrass you. Yao Yaodong snapped and sat up straight and performed a salute. Okay, shame on me and you don't deserve it now, what you have to do is worthy of yourself, the effort you have made for today, and just think of your mother, don't let her down. At breakfast, Liu Yi took them to Carrington, but did not send them to the academy, knowing that once he appeared, he would face a series of problems. A phone call called Jimmy Ryan out and entrusted Yao Yaodong's mother and son to him. Boss, rest assured, I will definitely make this little handsome guy satisfied and create a good trial environment for him. Jimmy Lane saw that the head coach had sent people over early in the morning, and there was such a beautiful young woman's mother, who paid more and more attention to Yao Yaodong. He could be the bastard son of the head coach. I muttered a word in my heart, but I didn't say it, afraid of being driven out directly by Liu Yi. Manchester United's salary is very rich. Liu Yi himself took Zhao Lingyue to his office at the training base. Through the floor-to-ceiling window can see the training ground. There are already players who came early to warm up. Just sit. Speaking of taking the initiative to give Zhao Lingyue a cup of tea, Liu Yi did not regard him as a subordinate, but a trustworthy partner. After all, he was a person recommended by the system. Old Zhao, I, the domestic agent of Longhua, am actually an agent, mainly dealing with my cooperation with some domestic enterprises. as well as some public welfare charitable donations in cooperation with local governments, football stadiums, and so on. These contents, in the previous video interview, have been said very clearly. This time is nothing more than to avoid talking, so that Zhao Lingyue can rest assured. We have all said what the salary is, and I think you are very satisfied, except that I will prepare a lot of dividends for you every year. When the two were chatting, there was a noise outside the door, and there were people roaring angrily, which made Liu Yi can't help but frown. Episode 174. Liu Yi calmly stood up and made a gesture to Zhao Lingyue, indicating that he would go out to see. The voices outside the door were Pogba, as well as Carrick and several other staff members, and there was clearly a fierce clash. Coach, is it true that Carrick said you sent me to the youth team? I don't know why. Pogba has some respect for Liu Yi after all, but he doesn't look up to Carrick, so he dares to argue with Carrick, but the moment Liu Yi comes out, his attitude softens. Yes, it was my decision. If someone makes an offer in the winter window, I guarantee you a smooth departure and there will be no obstruction from Manchester United. Liu Yi's words were indifferent, but there was a taste that could not be ignored. In an instant, Pogba was struck by lightning, and there was a hint of shame on his black face, and Manchester United were unbelievable. How could this be? Why? Paul, you're not going to play for Manchester United anymore. We have to adapt to life without you. It's because I was trying to save you, so explain it to you. Speaking of this, Liu Yi paused slightly, and then continued, people who actually don't want to play for Manchester United, don't want me to wait. The answer I can get here is to roll. Any doubts? Pogba opened his mouth, and finally did not say anything, just looked at Liu Yi a few times, and then left with a wave of his hand. Looking at his back, Liu Yi did not have any sense of relic, but felt a little depressed. To be honest, he had given Pogba enough opportunities to even put a clear path in front of him, but it was clear that he preferred to believe in Loyola. This is also the common sentiment of people. Liu Yi can understand, but it does not mean that he will accept it. He is responsible for the interests of Manchester United, and if this Pogba affair cannot be dealt with strongly, then there will be more and more players riding on Manchester United's head in the future. No one will respect the core bag. Only a tough attitude and a strong fist can make people really smile and sit down and talk to you, but unfortunately their time is still too little. If there is a person in 3 or 2 years, holding several Champions League and Premier League trophies in his hands, then no one will blow up with him no matter where he stands. Patting Carrick's shoulder, hard work. Carrick smiled, I wanted to do this too, but unfortunately I haven't had a chance, and now I'm out of my mouth. Good value for money. Liu Yi was very satisfied with Carrick's statement. Then he suddenly remembered another thing, turned to Carrick and said, talk to Ed. Pogba has only played 9 times this season. It is recommended to control his salary. Pogba naturally wouldn't go to the youth team, and went back to the locker room, angrily sitting down against his cupboard, but there was nothing he could do. How come? How could he not use a genius like himself? And could he really expect to win the championship with Fred and McTominay? Rayoya's voice still lingered in his ears. Pogba is also very confident in himself. He firmly believes that he is the most important piece of the Manchester United championship map, and once he leaves, there will be no more titles for Manchester United. And now he's ready to leave and go to other clubs to pursue the title, but that's not a reason for United to give up on him. Shouldn't it be on his knees licking him to stay? Why is it so far? I am the core midfielder of the World Cup champion, and I am also the spiritual leader sought after by everyone. Why does Liu Yi dare to give up on himself, who gave himself confidence? The more I thought about it, the angrier I became, but I didn't dare to really go to Liu Yi for trouble, and I slammed my fist on the cabinet very hard. All morning, everyone stayed on the training ground, and no one came in to say hello to Pogba or say 2 words. Liu Yi also wore a shirt with no number and appeared on the training ground. Yesterday there was no time to show some skills, today finally have time, after sending Zhao Lingyue away, immediately come to the training ground to show their style. The players were also a little surprised. They all thought that Liu Yi would not play football, or at most a wild ball level, and did not expect to see that he was not bad. There was actually a look, in the case that everyone did not go all out and deliberately released water, it really made Liu Yi play the wind and water. 45 minutes of the game, scored 2 goals. The intensity of today's game is not enough, but my cooperation with everyone in the game, as well as all kinds of small areas to form attack groups, defensive groups when defending, everyone should think about it. Everyone was shocked, they patronized and played happily. Where did they notice what tactics and cooperation? This is not the content of ordinary training. I'll let the video analyst burn the video of the game and give everyone a plate to go home and have a good look at what everyone did during the game. What we are looking for is that in high-intensity competitions, we can also be at ease, calm, and control the entire stadium in our hands, and the priorities have their hearts. At first, everyone was still a little dismissive, but listening to it became serious. Everyone felt that Manchester United was strong enough, and the recent games in this period of time made everyone more confident, and finally got rid of the mentality of the second-rate team before. Now hearing the requirements of the boss, one by one, are a lot more concerned. After all, the competitive pressure in the team is also very large, and it is difficult for others to guarantee a starting position except for Ronaldo, the first night under the Demon King. You have to study hard and keep improving to get the favor of the coach. Pogba left the Manchester United dressing room with his belongings, leaving his head and not looking back, only full of resentment. He had already thought of punishing them very much the next time he met Manchester United. It is best to use a big victory that he can score a hat-trick to defeat Manchester United and Liu Yi, and let Liu Yi know that it is his mistake to let himself go. Yes, Pogba did not feel at all this thing is because he wants to go. He and his agent's trouble is the source of everything, but blame Liu Yi and Manchester United. All the world is guilty, but there is nothing wrong with me. It is always easy to see the mistakes of others, but it is also easy to argue for oneself. When he came, Manchester United held a big press conference for him, and then all kinds of welcomes, so that Pogba received enough respect and treatment, but unfortunately he did not give enough respect to the club. But he is the darling of the fans, the heart of the club, and even when he clashed with Mourinho, the club chose to side with him, leading to Mourinho's Manchester United cutting the bottom fan. Driving out of the parking lot, there were some fans outside, and when they saw Pogba's car, no one came up to ask for autographs and no group photo. Pogba even saw a fan and raised his middle finger to him. With a foot on the accelerator, Pogba's car left Carrington training base, and the janitor behind him snorted disdainfully, spitting in the trash can and not wanting to play for Manchester United, even if it is strong here, is not welcome. Episode 175. At noon, Louis specially picked up Yao Yaodong and Lin Shuyue and ate some food together. Coach, Uncle Zhao. His task is to find you, and then bring you here, and when he completes the task, he will naturally return to China. Yes, at noon, Zhao Lingyue had already appeared at the London airport, ready to take a flight back to China at the first time. Of course, the ticket money company was reimbursed. What training did you go up there for? It's all physical, endurance running, 10 back running, and 100 meter, 50 meter and 30 meter speed running tests, and there are also ups. A lot of Manchester United's instruments, I haven't heard of, are really too advanced. Yao Yaodong is more and more excited the more he talks. He really feels that he is closest to his dream. Lin Shuyue looked at her son with a smile, and after she found that Louis did not hate Yao Yaodong's extroverted personality, she did not stop him, and her face was full of tenderness and happiness. Then he looked at Liu Yi, a man who was even more handsome than his son, and was naturally grateful. Are you running fast? Coach, not that I'm bragging. When I was practicing football before, I was almost taken away by the provincial sprint team. I remember there was a test last year. 100 meters is about 11.4 seconds. 60 meters can run to less than 7 seconds. 30 meters should be a little more than 4 seconds. For these numbers, Louis probably has a concept, because Rashford is a speed demon. He was almost this data when he was young, and even Yao Yaodong would be better. Director Liu, at that time, I still supported Yaodong to go to the sprint team, thinking that it would be easier to win glory for the country in this way. Football is really too difficult. When she said this, Lin Shuyue herself couldn't help but laugh out, and at the same time, she was a little glad that she didn't force her son to change careers, so she had today's opportunity. Just from the perspective of speed, Yao Yaodong is definitely an anti-heaven existence in the youth training team. And this is last year's data. This year with Yao Yaodong's physical growth, coupled with has been insisting on training, this data may be more terrifying. He can't wait to see that Yao Yaodong's specific training data has another person, and he can't wait to show Liu Yi the preliminary data of Yao Yaodong, who is Manchester United's youth director Jimmy Lane. Inside the office, talking to his colleague Brian McClill, director of training at the academy, the two looked at the data in front of them stunned. Liu found a baby for us, and he will definitely be able to play in the first team in the future. If the ball business is not too bad, he may even start in the first team, or even become a star. None of the trial players in this group can compare to this boy, just like a tiger from the wild, extremely fast, not bad strength, explosive power is first class, endurance level can play youth team games. While the two people watched, they felt that the above was Yao Yaodong's various test data, which were tested by various high-tech instruments and were absolutely trustworthy. They originally thought that Louis had casually stuffed a related household into it, and when they saw Yao Yaodong's mother in the morning, this idea was even stronger. But now it is completely gone. Liu is completely for the benefit of the club, perhaps betrayed himself, in exchange for such a genius to join. Brian, I'm going to go and give Liu the good news and let him know that this boy is a genius. Are you ready to go together? Brian McClare, as the training director of the academy, is a little uneasy that the head coach has not been looking for himself, is not satisfied with where he heard Ryan's voice, could not help but move his heart, did not hesitate to stand up, holding a hat to cover his own Mediterranean. Of course, it is also my responsibility to let the coach fully understand the situation of the academy children. After the two went to work in the afternoon, they went straight to the head coach's office of Carrington Training Base for the first time, and Liu Yi also sent Yao Yaodong back to the trial training team and just returned to the office. Mino, it's a pleasure to meet you, and from the look on your face, it should have brought me good news. Liu Yi smiled and said hello to Minogue Lane. He took the initiative to shake hands with McClare. Hug, I've been too busy lately, I haven't been able to say hello to you, this is my dereliction of duty. Brian quickly helped Liu Yi to explain, boss, your top priority is naturally the first team results, help our club get enough championships, the following things we will naturally help you do well. Very good, this attitude made Liu Yi feel very satisfied, patted each other's shoulders, and signaled everyone to sit down and talk. Boss, you don't know that the Dragon Country boy you recommended, just from the physical data, is a real genius, and now our academy team below U18, there is no comparison with Yao. Brian can elaborate. Although at lunchtime, from the mouths of Yao Yaodong and Lin Shuyua, I knew some data, but after all, I was not a professional, and from these two mouths, when Liu could be regarded as a thorough defense against women's hearts. Data from each item is spoken from two people and then analyzed. 10.86 seconds without balls, 10.02 seconds in 100 meters without balls. What is this data peak? Liu Yi is not familiar with the specific data of other players. In 1998, the newspaper reported that Ronaldo 100 meters were 10.15 without balls and 10.32 seconds with balls. Brian thought for a moment and said a statistic. This made Liu Yi frown a little, almost a little far. You must know that in the 100 meters, everyone grabs the speech of a few tenths of a second. Looking at his expression, Jimmy Ryan and Brian McClare burst out laughing. Boss, first of all, Yi Yao is a minor child, he still has a lot of potential, the most important thing is that his previous training method is not scientific, and he can't play his full potential at all. This is a good explanation, Liu Yi nodded with satisfaction. Yao Yaodong had just turned 15 years old. At 170 years tall, a little taller than before, it's only been a few days. Weighing 60 kilograms, it looks a little thin, but it doesn't matter, as long as there is a suitable training method, then the growth is also very fast. The speed of 30 meters is 4.01 seconds, and as long as you work hard, you can enter within 4 seconds, and the strong explosive force is strong. Vertical bounce 40 centimeters, in this data C Ronaldo is 44 centimeters, but that is C Ronaldo. Other tests such as strength, endurance, etc., there is no doubt that Yao Yaodong has no problems, and he is as strong as a calf. Boss, as long as the high ball quotient is not too bad, we can definitely cultivate him into a useful person. Very good, I trust you very much, look at my face, I only hope that you can be more severe, our Dragon Country has an old saying that eats bitterly is a good person, I hope he can do this. Liu Yi is in a good mood, first of all, from the physical level, Yao Yaodong already has the conditions to become a genius, and the system will certainly not deceive people. Episode 176. In the evening, Yao Yaodong and Lin Shuyua still took Liu Yi's car home, and none of the three mentioned such a thing as finding a place to live. Brother Liu Yi, you should let my mother be a nanny in your place, otherwise she is not familiar with life alone, and she does not speak English, and she will be abducted when she goes out. In the car, Yao Yaodong was nagging all the way, hoping to settle his mother, otherwise he really didn't feel at ease. You're going to stay in the house later? Yeah, I did some ball tests this afternoon, I feel like I'm doing okay, staying should not be a problem, I'm going to play football while going to school in the future, and if I come to you often, it's not good for me to integrate into the team. This boy was surprisingly sober, and Liu Yi was also ready to talk to him about this matter. Back at home, Liu Yi drove to the nearby supermarket to buy some food, and Lin Shuyue insisted on cooking at home to prove that he was qualified to be the nanny. Liu Yi and Yao Yaodong lived on the couch and chatted, talking about the trial training. First of all, learning cannot be lost, not for you to enter the university or whatever, but to cultivate your thinking ability, which is also very good for playing football. The club has overall arrangements in this regard. You need to learn English as soon as possible, this club will also have arrangements. Also, don't be complacent. First use 3 months to mix a U16 core captain, and after further growth, you will skip to play U18 and strive for a year or two to kick out a famous name. Brother Liu Yi, what is the youngest appearance record in the Premier League? It should be more than 16 years old, you still have more than a year to go, and you may have a chance. Liu Yi looked at Yao Yaodong with a smile. Young people just want to be vigorous. I will win the Golden Boy Award and the Golden Globe Award in the future and lead the Dragon Country national team to the World Cup. Very good, is an ambitious young man. Yao Yaodong's words let Liu Yi think of Wu Lei, who he had seen in Barcelona before. He is still working hard, but unfortunately the years will not stop and wait for him. At dinner, Yao Yaodong ate a lot, nagging while eating. Mom, I will rarely be able to eat these things in the future. The coaching staff will arrange a reasonable eating plan for us from tomorrow. Hoping not to let me eat British dark food, I will throw up. If you don't eat, don't eat. People are also to help you grow up as soon as possible. Isn't this what you've always dreamed of? Lin Shuyue reached out and clipped a chopstick dish to her son, and after thinking about it, she also clipped a chopstick for Liu Yi. It made Liu Yi a little stunned, but he reacted quickly. Brother Liu Yi, quickly taste it. My mother's cooking is really delicious. You let her stay with you as a nanny. The next day, Yao Yaodong packed up his things, took a large bag and a small bag, and took Liu Yi's car to the Carrington training base. Lin Shuyue stayed at home alone, cleaning up the room, cleaning and cleaning. Then it's sitting on the couch by the floor-to-ceiling window, watching the scenery outside, basking in the sun, playing with your phone, but not boring. But I am worried about my son. Weather today will be smooth, and I want to come back later. It is estimated that it is once a week, or when I am on vacation. Then I thought of Liu Yi, a lonely person in Britain, sleeping in such a big house at night. Will it be very lonely? Thinking of this, I couldn't help but blush, reached out and touched my face, but I couldn't stop my thoughts. In the academy, Liu Yi lost Yao Yaodong to McClare, and he could see that this kid was a natural extroverted social cowboy who didn't have to worry about what he was afraid of. Today there should be some confrontation, or small-scale game training, and hopefully this kid will have a good performance. Tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. and Dragon Country at 8:30 p.m. is Manchester United's home game against Brighton, and some pre-match preparations need to be done. The point is that after this game, the Premier League Christmas holiday will begin, and the time will be. Liu Yi had promised Bozeting to go back to shoot a down jacket commercial, and he had not been home for a long time and wanted to go home to see his parents. The ticket has been bought in advance, go to London after the game, and then the direct flying dragon must be impatient, saying that the place to eat is selected. Just wait for him to pay for it. Liu Yi naturally will not refuse this. The two have talked for such a long time, more or less still have some feelings. The morning is tactical training, divided into several groups for confrontation, simulating some of the unexpected situations that will occur in the case of large opponents' moves. The afternoon is mostly technical training, but there are some restorative training to make sure that tomorrow everyone has enough physical strength to play the game. Brian and Liu Yi sent a report by Yao Yaodong about body hormones, ball business and ball sense, as well as insight, teamwork, leadership and a series of analyses. The body hormones are far beyond ordinary people. It seems to be a weightlifter. The ball quotient and ball sense exceed the cognition of the two, and the insight passing route is full of imagination. Most of these dozens of young players came within this week, but it is simply unimaginable that Gao can unite their team, just like the boss Yu, a monster that cannot be described according to common sense. The final conclusion is that this is really a super genius. The most important thing is his position, temporarily placed on the right wing. Of course, he can play multiple positions in the front. Boss, we really have discovered a treasure. They all say that the future is the ultimate double pride of Mbappe and Haaland, and now it seems that it may be high, and there is a good chance to stir up a situation. Let's brag about it. Don't talk to Gao, lest he be proud and arrogant, and then say that he is only 15 years old now, and he can't say how far he will grow up in the future. Liu Yi knew that the two said this to make himself happy, but he himself was very calm. There are many geniuses, but geniuses can grow up, and only those who honor their talents can become stars. The boss is right, remind me of Sir Ferguson, and you'll start a dynasty greater than Sir Ferguson. Sir is a person I respect very much. Let's not discuss this good. Since Gao Yaodong is a genius, then you must use high standards to demand him. You have to be strict, for him is a two-legged player, or... As he spoke, Liu Yi suddenly thought of an attribute that was very important when playing games before. Boss, I was just about to talk to you about this. The high left and right feet are almost no difference, they are very flexible, he can even use his feet to pick things up on the ground. Jimmy Lane praised Gao Yaodong again. A super bipedal monster, is the system to find the Dragon Kingdom football savior? Looks very nice. By the way, tomorrow at noon against Brighton, remember to arrange for the children to come and watch. Our club should be a little more atmospheric, don't save this money. Episode 177. Coming from the south of England, the Brighton club, nicknamed the Seagull, is a beautiful city. The club's home stadium, called American Express Community Stadium, can accommodate 30,750 people when expanded, which is certainly not enough for the local football atmosphere. So far this season, it ranks 11th in the Premier League, a little higher than Brentford in the previous round. However, in the 5 recent matches between the two sides, Manchester United have won all of them, and not even a draw has been left for the other side, and now it seems that this record will continue. The whole Premier League, and even the whole world, is studying how to stop Liu Yi and his Manchester United, and now it seems that there is no result. Even Brighton's head coach, Graham Porter, and his players came with the attitude of watching less and winning. It is better to be able to live and be even, that is simply a blessing from God. It is a pity that the people of the Dragon Kingdom do not believe in God, not to mention that everyone calls the boy the Demon King, the sworn enemy of God, and it is estimated that it is useless to pray to God. The game was unusually 6 o'clock, and Anthony Martial, who once again got the starting opportunity, staged a good play. Since the last game, there have been some fans who have been clamoring about what Anthony Martial deserves more chances and what Rowe should give to young players. Luo has stopped the development of young players, and it is not uncommon for players like that to be seen. Where do these people know that Liu Yi has been in a state of disappointment with this guy in order to make Martial score a goal, simulating 13 games in the game? Luo, who was shouted to slide down the cliff, once again staged a good play of 2 goals and 1 assist, and then clocked in 60 minutes to leave work. After the game, Brighton's head coach Porter said, "A player like Cristiano, if not the best in the world, it is difficult for me to imagine what the best in the world is like. He wants to score goals, he wants to assist. All 3 of us cannot stop him. I hope that Congress can legislate to ban him from playing." In this regard, Luo smiled slightly, said, "I can burst out of such a big energy. The credit belongs to my boss Liu Yi. He is the best coach in the world. Under his guidance, I entered a new highlight moment at the end of my career. Praise him." The remaining 2 goals came from Rashi's unreasonable 60-meter race, with a powerful kick, and the other from Maguire at the back. After the game, the media focused all their attention on Cristiano Ronaldo. He has scored 26 goals before the game and 28 goals after the game, with 2 more games of the year. Will it directly break the era of 20 teams in the Premier League? Salah holds a record of 32 goals, and it is possible to complete it with only 2 rounds. Another record is that Ronaldo has scored 76 goals in the whole year so far this season, and with 2 games left, there is no doubt that this number will continue to increase. This also makes many Luo fans sigh. If Liu Yi can coach Luo earlier, he may be able to break Messi's record of 91 goals per year. Of course, this is already very powerful, and Luo is already old. How can the human body resist the laws of nature? In the face of this problem, Luo also gave his own response. "I have not retired. I will always use goals and assists to help the club. I like things with challenges. This year there is no chance. Next year I will start again." There is no doubt that this is very much in line with Luo's statement, and he is such a character who does not accept defeat. Yao Yaodong is the first time to see the ball on the spot. Before in the country, he has not been to the scene. One is that the time is not appropriate. On the other hand, domestic football is not good. Today at Old Trafford, where more than 70,000 people sang the songs of the King of the Red Devils and Viva Ronaldo with the fans, he was greatly shocked. So many people cheering your name together, the sound of the mountains calling the tsunami, let him indulge in it. Secretly determined that in the future, I must become one of them, and listening to the fans shouting their names is like Ronel. The other friends were also shocked. For such a big scene, who doesn't like it? Which player to play football does not enjoy the thrill of countless people shouting your name after scoring a goal, or leaving the stadium of a sworn enemy silent? Everyone is still young, and the fantasy that some big husbands should be like this, or the idea that I can replace them, is completely the blood of young people. At the post-match press conference, Liu Yi was asked again about Pogba. "Paul is still recuperating from injury, but for me, a person who does not want to play for Manchester United, it is meaningless to stay. Not to mention his and Liola's wishful thinking, which is not valid in my place. If someone sends an offer in the winter window, I will not let him leave." This has been more than once. Liu Yi has shown his attitude, and is tough as ever. Liu, aren't you worried that such a tough confrontation will affect other players coming to Manchester United and increase the concern for others? No, people always can't see their shallowness and mistakes. Manchester United has so many players. why only Liola can say such a shameful word. I welcome the world's hope and eager to play for Manchester United players, but the era of Manchester United as Kaisi is gone. How the reporters understand, or what other people think, Liu Yi actually doesn't care, he just says what he wants to say. As long as his record can maintain this kind of strength, can win a large number of championships at the end of the season, and the players who are eager for honor will naturally come to run. What's more, the game plug-in is in hand, even if it is to lead a group of children, he can win everything. Luo has scored consecutive hat-tricks before, and he has only scored 4 goals in the last 2 games. Is it that you overused him and made his body unable to recover, causing such a serious decline? Dude, if you tell other players that you just scored 4 goals in 2 games, you'll be beaten up and no. Liu Yi smiled and compared it. This guy is definitely deliberate. The reporters at the scene also laughed out loud. It is indeed a very hateful question. This guy is definitely AC Ronaldo fan. When interviewed here, Liola got the news and directly began to break the news on social media. Poor Paul has been rushed to the youth team by this tyrant from the East, the dictator, to train, and Paul has given everything for Manchester United and yet got such a result, which is unfair. If I were the owner of Manchester United, I wouldn't hesitate to fire this little garbage of the East, because football is played by the players on the pitch. Without a genius like Paul, he can't win anything. By what, Fred and McTominay? You have to admit that Manchester United only Rowe and Paul are players who want to be of the same grade, and the others are players that other teams can't look up to, rely on them to win the championship? Episode 178. In order to prove his persuasion, Liola also pulled out his men, the hottest supernova, the winner of the 2020 Golden Boy Award, the 2020 Norwegian Footballer of the Year, the best player in the Bundesliga in 2020 to 2021, and the object of pursuit of countless giants, Erling Haaland. From his debut to the present, Raiola has helped him a lot, so naturally he has to come out to stand for the agent. Besides, he never thought that he was going to Manchester United, and if that was the case, offending would be offended, and it was no big deal. Minoan is a good man. I don't know why anyone describes him as a greedy vampire. He always helps us and thinks from our point of view. Originally, Manchester United was the club on my shortlist, but the way they dealt with Paul, showing their unprofessionalism, made me feel very dangerous, so I would never go to Manchester United in the future. The Dragon Country people don't understand football at all. Manchester United is the head coach from the Dragon Country, but it is lucky to go through the luck. The players have been in very good form recently, so it seems that he is very good. In fact, Paul told me that he does not understand anything, like a fool. Haaland's remarks have undoubtedly caused an uproar, which is very surprising that a very well-known player should say such a thing. Unless it is Liu Yi and Manchester United who tear their faces and completely liquidate Liu Yi's past, there is really no possibility of cooperation between the two sides. With Haalander's speech, the lineups of the two sides once again began to quarrel. Manchester United's official social media took the lead, sending a photo of Liu Yi and the whole team, followed by copywriting, "We support His Majesty the Demon King." Immediately after United's former manager Mourinho, he surprisingly stepped forward and made his own comments on the matter. An agent like Liola is a disgrace to the football world and has caused great damage to football. Then Manchester United star Gary Neville joined the band. From what I know at the club, Haaland has never been part of the Manchester United plan. Everything is just speculation in the media. As for the fans, Manchester United's huge fan base, except for a certain part, the rest of the brush is on Liu Yi's side, and all kinds of teasing Liola and his players on the internet, mainly Pogba and Haaland. Naturally, Liola will not sit still. He has been mixed in the football world for so many years, 3 or 5 friends still have, especially his players. I'm just working for the benefit of the players. The players and the club are undoubtedly vulnerable compared to the club, and it's normal for the club not to like me. Paul is not wrong, he did nothing in this matter, but being sent to the youth team by Liu is not what a well-intentioned manager should do. Leonardo, the football director of Paris Saint-Germain, also expressed his views from Nepal. Even Haaland spoke again, mocking Manchester United fiercely, a broken house that has not had an important title for almost a decade. If it were not for money, who would go to such a place to play, a club that is not professional from top to bottom? As soon as this statement came out, it made Manchester United's current players blow up. Although Manchester United's high salary is partial, but there are many players who have feelings for Manchester United. Especially everyone's loyalty to Liu Yi now. The lowest Marshall has 13, Pogba does not count, and the rest are almost all 15 to go up. How can you bear it? I grew up at this club and I grew up here and became a better person and brought happiness to many people. I was able to get a good salary elsewhere, but when the boss told me to stay, I signed the contract extension without any hesitation. Jesse Lingard was the first to stand up and express his views and fight back against Haaland. Immediately afterwards, Fred also stepped forward to support Jesse Lingard's claim and expressed his support for the club. Of course, the most important thing is Ronaldo, the world's superstar's every move, has influenced the views of many people, and everyone wants to know his thoughts. I love Manchester United. At Manchester United I grew up to be a real man, so when he called out to me, I didn't hesitate to choose to come back. It has nothing to do with money, it's the love of football. The other beefies, Mata, Van der Beek and so on, all stood up and spoke out. They don't allow anyone else to tarnish this team and the manager at will. Finally, there is Jones, who has not played in a long time. His level has dropped dramatically, but he is also a veteran of Manchester United and has also been given an inexplicable contract extension, which shocks him personally. In my opinion, Manchester United is the most humane club in the world. When I was seriously injured, the club did not give up, but gave me a contract extension. Let me find a light in the bleak life. I hope I can return to the game as soon as possible, for Manchester United to give everything I have. Even another player of Loyola, Ibrahimovic of the King of Kings, also stepped forward and expressed his opinion on the matter. Paul and I are good friends, I naturally support him. I went to Manchester United all for Mourinho. I have no good feelings for Manchester United as a club. From beginning to end is a small family. When I drank a bottle of water, and then they sent me the bill, a price of British rust. As for the party Pogba, he has not been able to say, he does not know what he said. This matter between the two sides to this point, from the beginning to the end, is the result of him and Loyola playing Manchester United. It's just that now it's out of the way, the club has changed a manager, and everything has changed. In order to avoid his hatred and let him stop talking for a while, this makes Pogba a little confused, and he is not wrong. Shouldn't he fight for his own interests? Another party, Liu Yi, was on a flight from London to Rendezvous, and he didn't know anything about the outside world, not to mention that it wasn't a big deal. But the media around the world wanted to know what he thought about the matter, and Haaland's public rejection of Manchester United would not make him feel a little flustered or reflect on his actions. There are even some rumors that have spread. Liu Yi privately gave Pogba a gargle in the hope that he can continue to stay in Manchester United. The club put a lot of pressure on Liu Yi to make him openly admit his mistakes. Loyola received a text message from Liu Yi and wanted to explain it. In Liu Yi's mansion in Manchester, only Gao Yaodong and his mother Lin Shuyue were left on holiday, and the mother and son were not outside. Mom, you see these people are talking nonsense to Liu Yi. This Haaland is so ugly, he still wants to come to Manchester United, we don't want him. Gao Yaodong looked at the tablet in his hand and shouted at his mother who was sitting on the side. He really couldn't stay with his energy. What do you call the ugly parents for? You play better than him is the most important. Episode 179. When Liu Yi saw the news, he had already checked in at the hotel in Rendezvous, and his mobile phone was full of messages from friends, saying that Loyola had fought with him. And what Haaland refused Manchester United or the like, let him laugh out directly. These guys can still amuse themselves. Now it is Dragon Kingdom time, and it is still dark in winter. After a long flight, he is now tired, or sleep. Simply rinsed it and sent a circle of friends. On vacation, don't be careful. Then Liu Yi threw away his mobile phone, directly threw himself on the bed, and entered the dream. I don't know who sent a screenshot of his circle of friends, sent it to Twitter, and at a lot of people related to Manchester United to make things bigger. From the initial questioning, to now becoming Liu Yi's diehard, Gary Neville has not fallen asleep at more than 10 o'clock British time, and is on the internet, and people are on the internet with high intensity. Just someone at him, but also think that someone is attacking him, immediately click directly over, see what happened, while organizing the language, ready to start a war. Did not expect to be a screenshot of Liu's circle of friends, although it is written on the dragon text, but it does not matter, now the Flip Saint software is very powerful. And the person who forwarded it has thoughtfully translated the content well. Such unimportant little things, don't disturb my vacation. Between the understatement, a confident, powerful, and calm image appears in everyone's imagination. After all, in the football world, Loyola is already the top agent, and can be regarded as a predator, and few clubs and managers dare to tear his face with him. The head coach and the club who have suffered losses in his hands and can only swallow their anger are not a minority. But only Liu Yi bravely stepped forward, and Manchester United also firmly supported their manager and launched a counterattack against this vampire in football. From the current situation, Manchester United and Liu Yi are not moving like a mountain, and Loyola has been anxious, not only jumping the wall, but also began to make things up, attacking Liu Yi and Manchester United. Unfortunately, this kind of angry and anxious emotional output, in the face of Liu Yi's understated sentence, was destroyed by the way, and a punch hit the air, not only had no effect, but also flashed his arm. Liu Yi and Manchester United, like a confident, gentle, and elegant feathered gentleman, Liu and his people are like evildoers who are about to lose their red eyes. They look fierce and evil, but in fact they have a false appearance. A casual sentence, a screenshot of the circle of friends, just in the football world to seek a storm. Liu Yi and the fans of Manchester United are naturally cheered, and then it is time to eat, to sleep. It is the Christmas holiday, everyone has a happy holiday. Carrick, who has rarely spoken on social media, also stayed up late on the internet, and couldn't help but send a message. His Majesty the Demon King is a comfortable vacation, everyone doesn't have to care about this matter, leave it to the club to deal with it, and the most important thing is to live your own life. Liola and his PR team suddenly discovered a desperate fact: no matter how he tossed, the fans were reluctant to deal with him. Without the hype heat, how to play next? It can only be a real knife and real gun clash. Raiola finds Pogba the next home, and then takes Pogba away at the winter window offer. Only this path can be followed, and Liola can save a little face, not to be discredited, and to become one of the abandoned people in the football world. If Pogba can't find a home, the players he now has will also have a great distrust of him. Everyone needs to renew their contract, or when the contract expires, Liola obviously can't control the big club, and then it can only be slaughtered. In the mansion in Milan, Liola placed the coffee cup in his hand directly on the ground. As you can imagine, his Christmas holiday will never be pleasant, and Pogba and his family's phone is about to burst his phone. At first, he patiently explained, and then he simply stopped answering. What is the use of you forcing me? If it weren't for Pogba's thing, the direction of the next development, related to his career, and now Liola really wants to kick this guy away. Control is good control, but after the accident the whole life is also first class. Pogba's family and friends have begun to preach on the internet that Pogba has a heart for Real Madrid, and he wants to achieve his dreams. Some people have also said that Pogba wants to return to France and play in Paris to secure the French national team. Even more aggregated is that Pogba is not satisfied with Ronaldo's salary exceeding his own salary and wants to play with Messi. Although it seems to be full of traffic and very tearful statement, this article, at least the first half of the sentence, has made many people believe. After all, Raiola had already spoken that he wanted a contract of £500,000 for Pogba, and as for Holland it was more than £800,000, and later said that it was €1 million. It looks like it's for Pogba, showing a feeling that Pogba is very popular and doesn't get down to the spoon. But Liola is angry. At this time the life-saving straw is Paris. You are still arguing about Real Madrid. Is this not a blockage to Paris Saint-Germain? Turn Paul, how many times have I said it to keep your family shut up? Finally, when Pogba called again, Liola couldn't bear to warn him. Mino, my family is also for my own good. Damn, the best thing for you now is to shut their mouths and stop talking nonsense. Liola was even growling, and even on the phone, Pogba could hear the anger in it. Pogba agreed to come down, hung up the phone and said money to his mother and brother João X 10 times. Hey, Minoa asked us not to speak for a while, everything is at his command, meow. Why? Pogba's mother was the first to express her displeasure. Soon after, Pogba's mother made a statement on social media, attacking Liola. Liola has made a lot of money from my son's transfer, and now he is trying to shut us up, like a puppeteer, at his mercy and control, which is impossible. Raiola, who saw this news, almost suffered a direct cerebral hemorrhage and collapsed on the sofa with weakness. Finally, he also felt that he was conniving at the players' families, attacking the club and other players at will, and eventually regurgitating himself. The most bad thing is that he still has to swallow his anger and continue to wipe Pogba's ass, working hard for him to get a good salary for Paris transfer. Episode 180. Dababy is also the spokesperson for Bozeting, and recently set aside a period of time to shoot advertisements for Bozeting, and relax yourself by the way. She is a famous desperate third lady in the entertainment industry, often shooting several plays at the same time. The quality is naturally difficult to say, but this enthusiasm is still worthy of appreciation. Recently, she suddenly said that she wanted to rest for a few days, which led to people in the company still thinking that she had physical problems, and strongly persuaded her to go to the hospital for a checkup. Demimi also knew that there was a physical problem, but this thing was not something that the hospital could solve. In the end, I repeatedly explained that I was either sick or too tired to rest for a while, and I just shot an advertisement for Bozeting. So when she received Liu Yi's call at noon, she felt full of surprises. In the morning, I got up and saw Liu Yi's circle of friends, saying that it was a vacation, and Dobby must have thought that Liu Yi would not be able to come back in a few days, but he did not expect that the vacation was to return to China, which was really a surprise in the world. Where are you? Although the two often chatted and videotaped several times, it was the first time that the real person met, and Dabami could not help but be a little shy in the excitement. Rendezvous Hilton, just woke up. I'm going to ask for an hour, you wait for me for a while, let's have lunch together. Dabi must be a crisp and neat imperial concubine, without a twist. An hour later, Dabai, who had wrapped himself tightly, appeared in Liu Yi's room. Liu Yi had just taken a bath, and he was even more handsome, making Dababi's eyes full of stars. All the time she watched the game and watched the news, it was all kinds of videos, and she thought this man was particularly attractive, more than any of the people she had met before. To say that in the entertainment industry, handsome men and temperamental handsome men are also many, no matter what style, there will always be a few, not to mention the level of Dabami, the cooperation is even more top-notch. However, it is not as good as Liu Yi, and when she sees the one in front of her, she feels that her life is not a vain life until now. I have talked a lot for a long time, and after meeting, I am even more surprised. Most of the personal attribute points that Liu Yi got before were endurance, and the key moments were naturally reliable. Eat something, the Hilton Hotel is also there, directly let the waiter send up, by the way also opened a bottle of wine, anyway, Coach Liu is not bad money. Meeting and chatting is much better than video chat or typing. Liu Yi also hasn't spoken to a person for a long time, talking so much, some things he did alone in Manchester, things after the game mouth. Before Yao Yaodong and his mother, after all, they were not familiar, and everyone's identity was somewhat sensitive, naturally not everything could be said. Dabai listened to Liu Yi so quietly, it turned out that this man who was invincible on the court, attracted countless people to cheer for him, and moved for him, also had a melancholy side. This did not destroy Liu Yi's charm, but on the contrary, it made his share of the strength and courage that belonged to men become more intense. In the whole Dragon Kingdom football world, when it was a mess, Liu Yi held a torch alone, facing the darkness and illuminating the hearts of countless fans. He was the only one, standing on the top of the hill, and there was not a single relay in the car below. It is the only light in the hearts of Longwa fans, the only football dream that can be believed, and everyone hopes that he can one day spread this light and become a round of the sun these days. Dabi has also learned a lot about football, and has also watched a lot of Manchester United games, and by the way, he also looks at others, and if he has time, he will take a look. That bloody, tenacious, and never giving up until the last moment. It also made her understand why so many people were obsessed with this black and white elf and that green grass. I'm also a real fan, and when I'm not busy after a while, I'll go to Manchester to see you, and you'll have to buy me a ticket. When Omi said this, a day had passed, and by the morning of the next day. Got up early, took a picture in a Manchester United shirt. The new day is naturally for Mimita, smiling like a flower. It seems that the tiredness and anxiety on her body have disappeared cleanly. I'm going to meet a friend today, so let's have dinner together and surprise everyone. The comments were sent, and the fans of Damimi began to speculate. Dabai must wear a Manchester United shirt, it will not be to go to Luhan for dinner. Yang Tianbao may also be. Looking at the layout of this hotel room, it should be in Rendezvous Hilton. Is it Manchester United's related activities? It won't be Director Liu coming back. Didn't there be a screenshot before that Director Liu was on vacation? The photo of Dababi let Yang Tianbao, who was brushing around Bo, see it, and his heart can't help but be sour. Directly sent a message to Liu Yi, Brother Yi, will Dabai be with you? Yes, we have to have dinner together at noon, and Liu Han and the little boy girl, they also invited Wang Xiaolei, and even the narrator Zhang Jun, a lot of people. Liu Yi was shocked in his heart, this woman's sixth sense is really amazing. I don't care, when you leave, you must come to the magic capital, I invite you to dinner before you can leave. Yang Tianbao made this move out and sent Liu Yi a few photos. There is no way, it is not that Coach Liu is not firm, just to maintain the relationship between fans, it is also one of the responsibilities of the head coach, and it can only be a difficult promise. I also have a gift from you to Dabimi. Next time make up for you, this time it's mainly a cooperation from Bozading, otherwise I would have gone home a long time ago. Liu Yi found a reason and vetoed the matter. Yang Tianbao is not unreasonable, after sending a few small fist expressions, he chose to forgive Coach Liu. At noon on the second day after Liu Yi returned to China, Liu Han took Guan Xiaotong and Wang Xiaolei with him, and also invited Zhang Jun and He Wei, two famous commentators, to join them, and the two heard that they were having dinner with Liu Yi and directly left their jobs and came out. In the hotel box, Liu Yi and Dabi Bibi entered together, and the 5 people who fell to Liu Han, who arrived first, were a little surprised. Just met downstairs, let's come up together. Dubai casually explained that Liu Yi did not say much, in case what he said was not right, it would not be good. The two came together to take a photo, let Dubai send Weibo, and the other 4 people also got up to take a group photo, which was a rare opportunity. Everyone is a football fan, for Liu Yi is naturally extra respectful, even John June, a Liverpool fan, is also a heartfelt love for Liu Yi. Drinking is definitely a drink, and it is not an athlete, and everyone is not ambiguous. After 3 cups of belly, the conversation box naturally opened. Jean June took Liu Yi's hand. Guidance Liu, you are now a flag of our Longwa football, you must not fall down. If you pour our Longwa football, you want to come to me and do not know when the mouth will come. When the wine goes deep to spit out the truth, it is naturally a heartfelt word.